Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
This island is pretty much full of only two things: snakes and rats.
The fake dead grandmother could easily go down as the dirtiest thing ever to be done in this game.
I am the king, and I am back.
But I've got the $1 million check written already. I mean, I'm the winner.
The winner of the first Survivor competition is Rich.
Direct from Hobart, it's now time for the only dedicated radio show in Australia devoted to the hit TV show Survivor, bringing you the latest news and the biggest interviews from the king of reality television. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to this very special episode of Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast. Something that I can say this year. Very, very excited. Very special episode indeed. The best of 2014. We did this last year. Best of 2013. At the time, was our longest ever episode. Went for 3 hours and 45 minutes. And, well, we've had 2 episodes since a clips that we had our Sarwandel Sir preview episode and our listener questions episode, which you'll hear highlights of eventually throughout this episode. But yes, this episode is all about playing you highlights from the year of 2014. We will be playing clips from every single episode of Survivor Oz in 2014, with the exception, I will say, of episode commentaries. We will not be playing snippets of those. Those are separate. We may play a brief snippet of the finale commentary we did of the Marquesas, just because we had some special guests with us for that one. But I do recommend downloading our episode commentaries. We're currently doing All-Stars at the time of recording this. So we've done 7 full seasons, and we're on to our 8th full season. A very long process, but we're getting through it, and we are enjoying it quite substantially. But look, we have had a massive year on Survivor Oz in 2014, easily our biggest yet in so many aspects. We recorded in total 276 different episodes. They include commentaries, I will say, which is up from last year. We had 231 in 2013. Just to put the mass out on that one, 296 hours worth, an extra 82 hours worth of content this year compared to 2013. If you were to make that into days and hours, 12 days, 14 hours, 41 minutes, and 51 seconds worth of content if you were to listen to it back to back. Nearly 2 weeks worth of your time listening to Survivor Oz for 2014 alone. That's up 4 days from last year. We had a total of 93 interviews in 2014. 65 of them were with Survivor contestants. 38 of them were brand new Survivor interviews. Now, that doesn't include exit interviews, so that is a full-length interview. So that's slightly down on last year. But, of course, as we know, as we get closer and closer to a higher number, that will drop significantly because, obviously, some are harder to find than others. In total, though, we brought you 58 new contestants. So how does that work? Well, look, you know, we've obviously had a few contestants come on that haven't done their full-length interview, namely our exit interviews, which we don't count as full-length interviews. And then we also had a couple of appearances on our Oscars earlier this year from the likes of LJ and Jatia, and they are yet to do a full-length interview with us, unfortunately, yet. 30 live episodes, one more than we did in 2013. That's 43 hours worth of live content as well. So we love bringing the live ones out to you. It's a lot of fun to have them there. And big year in terms of recognition and things that have fallen our way. As you heard me in the introduction, went to #1 on iTunes for the very first time. We did that as a podcast, and we've had a couple of episodes also go to #1 on iTunes as well. Our exit interviews have proven to be a big success. So obviously, as we always do, we have to thank you guys, the listeners, for helping us get that #1 on iTunes. It certainly was an honour. We also won our first award in 2014. We were named the Best Foreign Project by the Czech and Slovak Reality Awards. And look, it's a massive honour. We've won our very first award, and we take that with heavy, heavy pride. So thank you very much once again to the guys over at realityshow.eu. I'm looking at the award right now, sitting on my desk. I absolutely thrilled that we managed to get that one. We had a massive amount of hits on our website, 2.5 million hits to be precise, after only having 1 million the previous year. So we're up 2.5 and 3.5 million in total now currently on our website. On Facebook, we increased ourselves over the 2,000 mark, currently just sitting over 2,500. So it's great to have that there. And Twitter as well. Last year we were just under the 7,000 mark. Currently we're on the 8,500 mark on Twitter. So obviously increasing that a lot. We also, I will say, added, of course, a couple of spin-off shows this year, which you will hear from throughout this episode. Big Brother Oz and The Amazing Race Oz. 2 new spin-off shows to cover a couple of other shows that are slightly related, and a lot of our people who work on the show are fans of. And also, of course, we did a very special episode in terms of another show, bringing Sexy back, but we will no doubt hear from that a little bit later in this episode. So what we're going to do for you, if you didn't listen to the best of 2013, essentially, we sit here and just play short little clips from each of our episodes. Now, some of these will be quite short, some of these will be long. It all depends on what we play. And obviously, we've got to start in the month of January. The year started off with a lot of blood versus water interviews, not only from new contestants who we had not previously interviewed, but people who had been on the show in the past and had returned for their second or even third time or even fourth time to play again. That started off with the Culpeppers, Brad and Monica. And let's start off by hearing a snippet of the Brad Culpepper interview for you now.
The biggest advantage, and obviously it's not an advantage in the game, is knowing what to expect when it airs on television. Because so much is filmed and so much is done and so little is shown that was more, I was like, oh my God, I guess you were right. Had I not been with somebody who played before and tells me, look, there's so much that ends up on the cutting room floor, be prepared that even though you spoke a ton during that challenge or you spoke a ton during that tribal council or you were actually going after somebody else, or you had a different theory or a different strategy, it may not be presented in the way in which you thought it was.
And we presented a way of also playing an interview, that makes sense, Ben, with Brad's lovely wife, Monica. Of course, it appeared on the show before she went out for Blood vs. Water, but she returned to talk about her time on Blood vs. Water. Let's hear a snippet of her interview now.
So when I looked at the group, I held out my tablet and I wrote Candace, and it was edited out as to what I said. Some people said, oh, I don't know you, or we should have tea. And, Colton said, I heard ka, and I wanted to say Andis and not Olton. And I turned mine over and I said, I do know you. I think you're beautiful. I think you're intelligent. And I think you're the least trustworthy person here.
And, well, there you go, hearing that from Monica. Great. Now, continue the Blood vs. Water interviews. Katie Collins, daughter of Tina. She gave a very fun and insightful chat and spoke to her a little bit about the fact that she had, of course, a cameo on the Australian Outback all those years ago, and how the images and footage was shared a lot online during her season on Blood vs. Water.
Yeah, I hit puberty. No, I'm kidding. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how it's kind of cool. I mean, like I said, I never expected to even be on the show, so nor did I expect that the old, season 2 Australia, I think people started to rewatch that because there was buzz going around that I made a little cameo, and that's such a great season too. I love watching the Australia season, and my mom just kicked butt, and it's fun to go back and rewatch.
And speaking of her mother, we of course spoke to the ever fantastic Tina Wesson, one of her few appearances on the show in 2014, about her time on Blood vs. Water.
We did, but I knew that we would not play together. I know CBS, I know how this game works, and I knew what would make for the best television program, so I was 99.9% sure we would not play together.
And if Tina is 99.9% certain, she's of course right, which she was. We had our first live episode for the year. Every January, of course, we do our big poll, our top 25 poll of something. This year, it was top 25 greatest one-time players in the history of Survivor. And look, there were some interesting choices as voted by you, the listeners, including one who, let's just say, was a big shock that they even made the top 25. Now, if I had to look at this list and say that there was one WTF person on this list that I was not expecting to even get anywhere near this, it would be this person. And I'm taking nothing away from this person, but this particular person got a lot of votes that I wasn't expecting. A total of 11 lots of 3 votes. That is what made this person get so high. 5 lots of 2 votes and 0 1 vote. Again, this could be recency bias. This is from the 26th season of Caramoan. That's already getting groans. None other than Mr. Eddie Fox at number 11.
I'm leaving.
Now, I knew this could cause some controversy. Jared, I'm going to start with you this time.
This is Survivor Oz, not The Bachelor. Like, that's as simple as it is. That's why you got votes.
Okay, Noah? He's left, I think. He actually has hung up. Like, I'm not kidding. Noah has hung up. I would have hung up too if I didn't actually have to host the show. Cagayan, the 28th season, was just around the corner in January, of course. We hadn't seen it back then, and we had to do a big preview episode. And this was when Jared Elliott was still part of Survivor Oz. And as always, Jared Elliott gave a very insightful, in-depth insight into his brain.
I don't really know. I don't really have an opinion of it. She doesn't. I don't know. I can't do this with new players. I'm sorry. It's impossible. Like, how do you have an opinion on something after a 2-minute video?
Have you watched the video?
Yeah, but it went for 2 minutes. Like,
that's
okay,
what you based your opinion on.
Well,
I didn't really
Jared,
like it.
Jared, you have typed up for Trish on our website. Trish is a Pilates instructor from Needham, a suburb of Boston in Massachusetts. She's a fan watching Survivor since way back in 2000 in Borneo, blah, 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 blah. So you've obviously know a little bit more because you've written this about
Yeah,
them.
but that's fact. Like, what I think of her, I don't really know. Like, she sounds pretty boring.
Well, maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. I'd obviously like to hear Jared's thoughts on that again, but he's not with the show anymore. We also brought you an OzCap. We previewed Cagayan, and when we reviewed Blood vs. Water, and myself, Jared, Noah, we poked fun at our Ozlet Alex, who had a friend, Nadine, who at the time we thought there was a little bit more going on between the two of them.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Can I message Nadine on Facebook and ask why you two didn't work out?
No.
What would you do if I did? He's gone quiet. I just say Alex is the closest Alex is getting to abusing someone. He just doesn't want to say anything.
I'm trying to think of something good to do, but you're all the way in bloody Hobart, so I feel that's like punishment enough.
Alex just swear.
What would you do if my friend requested her right now?
Oh, you're gone, Jared. You are gone.
Can Jared, if you don't have a crack at her, can Jared have a crack at her? Who
No.
does she go for in the football?
She doesn't like
Oh,
football.
well, there you go, Jared.
Oh, well,
You
it's
two
not
just
worth
have
it.
a massive fight in, like, Footscray.
Noah and his Footscray love. I don't know what it is. So that was January. We also did 2 commentaries in the month of January, 2 episodes of the Marquesas. We did episodes 4 and 5 with John Carroll, and I highly recommend that you head to survivors.com on the feature section. You'll find the commentaries area there, and click on them, download them, and watch the Marquesas with expert commentary by John Carroll. January was over, which means February was now to be here. And of course, February saw the premiere of Survivor Cagayan, and there was a lot of Cagayan content this month, but we still continued on our Blood vs. Water interviews, as well as a few non-Blood vs. Water interviews, and a pretty big one that managed to complete a big milestone for us. We also recorded 3 more Marquesas commentaries with John Carroll, episode 6 to 8. And as I said, for the January one, go back and download them. They're very, very insightful. But the first interview that we did for the month of February was a return of Colton Cumbie. Now, I know a lot of people are not Colton fans, and fair enough each year, and I'm not going to try and bring you down to a different reasoning to change your mind to why Colton is an awesome person and player. But he always does give a good interview, whether or not you like him or not. And I always like to say this, that I always recommend people just at least sit down and listen to his interviews, because he's entertaining. He is very smart and intelligent about the game, despite what you may think, having seen him on the screen. And he always gives a very good opinion on things. So let's hear a small snippet of the Colton Cumbie Blood vs. Water interview.
And I'm really good at, like, speaking, like public speaking, and like if I can prepare for it, like I feel like I would be pretty good in a final tribal council, because I'd have all this time to like prepare. And I think that's kind of my problem. I start preparing my final tribal council speech on day 3, which, as everyone you've interviewed has probably told you, I'm always like a million steps ahead, and that's not always a good thing in Survivor.
Sometimes it clearly isn't, and unfortunately for Colton, it's never worked out. We then spoke to, from Blood vs. Water, Caleb Bankson, Colton's fiance, who, of course, tragically did pass away this year. Very tragic incident that happened, and obviously we're still mourning the loss of Caleb. But look, it was still an honour to be able to speak to him, and given obviously what happened, we hold this interview very dearly to our hearts here at Survivor Oz. So let's hear a brief clip from the late Caleb Bankston.
Jeff he said, have a moment to talk about it, and my reaction would have been the same as Rupert's. Just, there's no talking me out of it. This is what's going to happen. Go take your seat. Go stand with your new tribe mates.
And read more about, of course, our tribute to Caleb on our website, and download the interview with him as well. It's actually a very entertaining chat, very fun chat, and showed that we missed a lot out on him on Blood vs. Water on our screens. It wasn't all about Blood vs. Water in the month of February. We spoke to somebody from Caramoan. Laura Alexander was her name. Here's a snippet of the Laura Alexander interview.
I found it kind of fun. I think that in general I've had a pretty good review from the fans, or at least a positive. I had I think a pretty positive edit, so I don't have much to complain about, but yeah, it is funny to see how, the outside world interprets who you are.
Went back to this season of Samoa as well and spoke to the one and only John Fincher. Here's a clip from the John Fincher interview.
I knew when everyone got in the water, I made a point, when some people started swimming, to swim over there and like I said, I'm a good swimmer. It was effortless, but made a point to make sure that everyone saw that.
Yeah.
You just go from there. I mean, it was literally one mishap in all of my challenges. That was it,
And a big interview followed the John Fincher interview. Jason Siska from Micronesia. Now, you might think, well, that's not really that big of a deal. Jason wasn't exactly the most memorable contestant ever. However, with Jason being interviewed from Survivor Micronesia, he completed the set of Micronesia contestants, meaning that we then had interviewed every single contestant from an entire season for the very first time, a full set, and Jason got a bunch of listener questions from a certain contestant from his season, the one and only Kathy Sleckman. Let's hear some of that now.
No, go right ahead. Let's hear what Kathy Sleckman has to say.
Okay then, all right.
The crazy lady.
Okay, well, let's go through some of these. You can just answer these as quickly as you want to. One of these questions: how come you were such an asshole to people you had never met?
Well, referring to her, because she was crazy. She cried on the first night. She signed up to be on Survivor, not, The Real World or one of these other shows, or, she was good,
Entertaining interview, and I think Jason got a little bit sick of the barrage of questions from dear old Kathy. Hello to Kathy and Jason, if you're listening. Went back to Palau next. Kim Mullen joined us in the month of February. Very fun and entertaining chat. Let's hear from Kim Mullen.
Well, we jokingly say now that it would have been, we have to look out for fellow lazy people, but it would have been my gut instinct in watching the play, and I know a lot of people, didn't like her and felt that she, was riding on coattails and doing that, but at the end of the day, isn't that the game of Survivor, getting to the end the way that you are best capable of doing it?
We, of course, later in the year would spin off into doing Big Brother coverage, but early in the year, we spoke to a Big Brother contestant, a US Big Brother contestant, a US Big Brother winner, to be precise, a certain Hayden Moss, who also then went to compete on Survivor and gave us a very good chat. Let's hear from the one and only Hayden Moss now.
Yeah, I had the biggest smile I've ever had. Just knowing that I was going to be safe, it was relieved. And then at the same time, understand, okay, I made that big play. If I'm able to win some challenges and kind of get out of this and make it to the end, I knew that I was going to win if I made it to the end. So I was pretty pumped. So fortunately, following that tribal council, I wasn't able to win immunity, and I ended up getting the axe.
And at the time, Hayden was, of course, in a relationship with Kat. Originally from One World, they went on Blood vs. Water together, and that means we had to speak to Kat. And we spoke to Kat about her relationship with somebody who already heard from only a few minutes ago, Colton Cumby.
He wouldn't stick his paddle in the water. He would not stick his paddle in the water. I'm sitting here paddling as hard as I can, and when one side is paddling too hard, we start turning. So I'm like, Colton, just paddle. and like he just slipped out like weirdo. So I don't know. Our relationship is never going to be like that. Like I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him.
Interesting that Kat started the year in a relationship with Hayden, and it is alleged, now rumoured, that she is seeing Drew Christie from San Juan del Sur. So look, start with one, end with another. Fair enough. Hope they're happy and all the best to them. Spoke to the Bonhams next, Rupert and Laura. Oh, don't we love the Bonhams? They appeared a couple more times throughout the year as well. But had to speak to Rupert. First of all, the legend himself. Let's hear from that interview.
I think, honestly, and they've never admitted it, and they probably are pissy when I say stuff like this, but, I'm sure they had it in their heads for a while for us to play together, for it to be couples against couples on a blood team and a water team.
And, of course, then we had to speak to his lovely wife, Laura, huge cult fan, big cult following around the Survivor Oz offices. We loved it a bit. It was an honour to speak to her. Let's hear from the one and only Laura Bonham.
It was great that I ended up on the other tribe, that we ended up kicking their butts, too, because it was one of the strongest women out there. They had no idea. I'd done triathlons. I've been a competitive swimmer the majority of my life. I mean, I was great in challenges. They didn't always show that, but, I was a great competitor, and you didn't see the cameras, me cussing them out and say, you just made the biggest mistake of your life, what are you doing voting me out? You guys are crazy.
Wow.
I went off. I was so mad.
And we were mad too for Laura. Now, we spoke to 4 new winners in 2014, 3 in a full-length capacity, 1, of course, in an exit interview, which you'll hear a lot later on. The first winner that we spoke to in 2014 for a brand new interview, the one and only Denise Stapley. We had to wait a year to get her on the show due to certain restrictions that were enforced on her, but she, in the end, gave us a fantastic interview, one of the best interviews that we have done with a winner. Let's hear a snippet from Philippines winner Denise Stapley.
Malcolm had, very strong feelings about not wanting to have a returning player. And that was one of his pieces, and especially as Matt Singh was decimated, that, neither one of us wanted to kind of play in his shadow, so to speak. But the reality with Matt Singh was we could have that conversation till we were blue in the face, but we were losing challenge after challenge, and trying to figure out what what's the value in keeping him over someone else. And at that point in time, we just rationally thought we needed strength, and truly Russell, at Matt Singh was a huge value. I mean, between he and Malcolm, they kept our fire going every day in that rain. I think there was maybe only one day in the midst of that rain where we just couldn't get the fire going.
Back to the Blood vs. Water interviews now. We spoke to Marissa Peterson, of course, niece of Jervis, who we would speak to for a second time later in the year. Let's hear from Marissa Peterson.
Fear, or somebody else said, me too. Like, I thought, you looked older. I thought that you could have been his girlfriend.
Wow.
And I was like, that's really bizarre. I wasn't thinking that, at all. But maybe if I would have kept playing that, no, that would have been weird.
Just keep playing it for the whole season. Like, hey, it's my boyfriend.
Yes. Yeah. And then I would have been on the challenge go baby, yeah. Because that would have been too weird.
Celebrating with him after the challenge, going, hey, honey, look at us. In your face, everybody. In your face. It would have been quite awkward, I think, after a while. One cut myself off there, apparently. One very underestimated, I should say, person that we had on this show, who I know a few people discovered how good this interview was a little later in the year, was with Caramoan, with Cagayan on the mind now, Caramoan contestant Shamar Thomas. I can't even say it properly. It's been a long year, people. So Shamar joined us, gave a very, very insightful chat, lots of behind-the-scenes information. Let's hear from Shamar now.
What happens is, I even got a phone call when I started talking about my finger from CBS, like, oh, if you keep telling people what happened, people are going to think that when they come on the show that they're going to get hurt and we're not going to do anything about it. And I said, well, you didn't do anything about it. What do you expect me to do? And I told them that I'll die. I was like, listen, man, I'll die because I can't let y'all do this to me. I'm going to tell people, it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell people. And I'm not going to tell, every single ins and outs of the show because that's not my business. I'm here to tell my story.
Highly recommend that interview for people who have not heard it before. So download that, survivoroz.com. Now, I mentioned before that we selected 4 new winners in 2014. We brought a few of them back. You've already heard from Tina, of course. Another winner that brought back to the show, competed on Survivor Blood vs. Water, Aris Bushkauskas. He joined us to chat about his time on the 27th season. Let's hear from him now.
You know, I found myself at the start of the game in such a good position in terms of my kind of place that I was kind of thrust into this kind of leadership role that no one wants to be in, on Survivor at least.
Very true. Very entertaining chat there with Aris as well. Went for about 3 times as long as his first one did, of course, because we interviewed him. He was the very first winner we ever interviewed back in 2011, I want to say it was. Not quite into 2012. And only went for about 20 minutes, his very first interview with us. That one went for about an hour. So how times have changed here in Survivor Oz. Nearly at the end of the month of February, Cagayan started. What a season it turned out to be. Our first episode recap was with the first boot of Africa, Diane Ogden, of course. We went into episode recaps for the 28th season, bringing in people who had never done episode recaps before. It was an all-newbie season. We thought we'd bring in all newbies in terms of episode recappers. Let's hear a little snippet from the Diane Ogden Cagayan episode 1 recap.
I guess for me, he's just kind of in the background right now. I don't know. I mean, I think Bryce will have more of a storyline later on because he's already kind of establishing that, and I think he'll be more of a leader than LJ because obviously I can't remember him. And
well, it's the early part of the season. You got to remember the days. I'm still struggling to sort of names the faces and everything like that too.
Yeah,
but I think
it's hard.
And with episode recaps, of course, Oz Topsies were back for their second ever season. Live Oz Topsies. We recapped the episode directly after the Australian airing, and I think we need to just play a little clip from the Cagayan first Oztopsy of the season.
Yeah, it's a good twist. It's entertaining, and it kind of mixes things up straight away. So yeah, I'm a fan, and I think it's a shame we haven't seen it since Taken Sing, so it's long overdue.
What about you, Mr. Happy?
I thought it was good, and it showed, even if you are the weakest player, you can be the leader and still stuff up as badly. Because obviously we saw what happened to David, so I thought it was good.
It's kind of interesting that the leader and then the weakest player, sort of as you mentioned, were the first 2 voted out.
Well, they're going to have fun at like Losers Lodge or whatever they call it these days. Like a free-for-all, just punch up.
We miss Jared. We really do. It's good to hear his voice again. That was February, the month that was, moving now into a busy March. March was a month that brought us a lot of Cagayan content, given that the season was in full flight. Also brought about a couple of guest hosting spots. Noah and Jared each took the reins of a hosting role. We'll get to that very, very shortly. We also would record 2 more Marquesas commentaries with John Carra, episodes 9 and 10. And that would be the last commentaries that we would record, funnily enough, till August. We had a bit of a break during the middle of the year. Of course, unfortunately, John's mother came into some health issues. So John obviously had to be there by his mother's side. So we took a bit of a break from those commentaries before concluding them a little later in the year. We did start with some more Blood vs. Water content. We had 2 people on the show, one of the returning players from Blood vs. Water who we'd never had on the show previously before going on Blood vs. Water. The Codys, John and Candace. Now, before we get to Candace, because of course I've never been backwards in coming forwards with my opinion of her, we heard from the fantastic John Cody, who surprised me very much so with his interview and just how entertaining it was. Let's hear a little bit from the John Cody interview.
It's funny that they brought this whole idea up of Rachel and I having this super tight alliance. I mean, I liked Rachel. We were close. I liked all the people that were out there. But I would say that outside of the guys' alliance, I formed the closest bond with Rachel. We're a similar age. We have similar things that we like to talk about. So that was, she was just kind of like easy to talk to and get along with.
After speaking to John, I had to speak to Candace, and it was raised, the things that I had said about her in the past on this show, and she confronted me about it, and I gave my honest opinion of her. But Candace, of course, came out and spoke a little bit about certain aspects of her as a returning player, and of course also questioned me. But let's hear a little bit from the Candace Cody interview for you right now.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that I am particularly the most entertaining of players because I try to, think before I act for the most part. And that's not good for TV, Most of the best people that we love as fans that are on the show are batshit crazy,
It's actually a very entertaining interview. It was one of our longest, too, that we'd ever done. So, it was a great chat. And one I highly recommend. Surprised a lot me. And very, very nice person is Candice. And we, of course, had her and John a little on later in the season for a Someone Del Sur recap, which you'll hear from very, very soon. Cagayan Oztopsy number 2 happened. Let's hear a clip from that.
I'm sorry, Jared. Thank God he's pissing off next week, Noah.
To your city.
There. Well, we don't have to put up with you next Thursday night, thank God.
I'm still going to be here. I'm just not going to be... Oh, well, I'll hopefully be here. We'll get to that.
No, we'll kick you off.
Ooh.
We're in control next week, aren't we, Noah? I hope he backs me up here.
I'm just anything to get rid of that voice. So,
Tony impersonation flowed throughout the season, and I eventually got told off by the man, but I'm sure we'll hear from that soon. Our next episode recap, as we continued our Fresh Face recap season, was with the only 2-time first boot in the history of Survivor, Francesca Hoagie. Let's hear a little bit of that now.
I don't see Cliff going home anytime soon. I mean, it's even though he's gunning for him, and I'm sure he's gonna, definitely continue to take efforts to try to poison the tribe against him. He's got an uphill battle there because everybody really loves Cliff. So, Cliff is the only person from this season who I have met. I met him in New York a few weeks ago, and he's amazing. He's awesome. Brilliant. So I can see why everybody loves him.
And unfortunately, it didn't really last that long. We yet to have Cliff on the show. Cliff, if you're listening, we want you on. Next interview, we went back to Token Chains, a season which, isn't exactly the best season, but one of the most memorable contestants from that season was the one and only Sandy Bergen. Now let's hear a little clip from Sandy's interview.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, and I'm like, I'm into the game. I've got to protect my own self. And so really, I wasn't going to impress them with anything that I done. So I thought, no, I got to go for something that's going to assure me a spot in the game.
Love her accent. Could listen to that all day. Now, one person we had been trying to get onto the show for quite some time, very loyal and strong fan base, was Redemption Island and Caramoan contestant Andrea Belke. Belke, thanks, Ben. I always say, I see the reading and I just stuff it up. Andrea Belke. Shut up and just say the name properly. Very entertaining chat. A lot of fun to hear from Andrea. Let's hear some of her right now.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been different.
Straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he listens to Survivor Oz interviews, so, that would have been different.
March then brought me going away to Melbourne for a couple of days, which meant that some of our episodes had to be guest hosted. First of all, Noah took the reins for his very first hosting role, practice for what he would do later in the year, of course, as he was joined by China contestant Leslie Nees to review that week's episode of Survivor Cagayan. Let's hear a little bit of that now.
I'll admit that I didn't know fully either, so...
Yeah. I didn't. I'm embarrassed to say. I definitely wouldn't have been on the beauty tribe because I'm, definitely not in that category. However, I don't think I would have been in the brains tribe either.
Next Oztopsy was next, funnily enough, that. And we had guest host Jared. And look, let's just say I still appeared as a guest, but wasn't exactly in a right frame of mind for it. And things turned slightly interesting. Quality of this audio, not the best, but neither was my behaviour.
Natalie White and Sandra were kept around because Russell thought he could beat them, and then they beat him. So does that make them shit players?
Yeah, but they're good at the social game. They're not good at the challenges, maybe, but social game, they were good. She's not even good at that.
Deb Eaton did.
Just because she was kept around and she threw rice out isn't something good she did. It means she was kept around.
Tia outlasted Deb Eaton, so that's why
please, settle down, mate. Please.
I can't wait till next week. I'm going to bring Emma down and use shithead so much.
Good. Can you answer Noah's question? What did she do good that was game-wise, that would make her a good player, not tipping the rice out?
I'm not saying she's the best player in the history of the world, but she's not the worst player.
Think of politics. Just answer.
Who do you think is the worst?
Who do I think is the worst? I'm not going to answer that question.
Well, then it gives us context for why you think Tatia is better than that.
Who's the international pick on Ben? Hey, fuck you all.
Answer the question.
Answer the bloody question.
I am trying to answer the question. Every time I go to, I get answered the question.
Going on a tangent. Just answer.
Painful to hear it. Painful to hear it. We had our next Oztopsy. I was back to hosting. Things returned to normal. Let's hear a snippet from that next.
Yeah, for the season they've been good. This week I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed the reward challenge this week. Some of the mismatches were pretty hilarious. Watching LJ rip Alexis off of that pole and then just drag her, bouncing her head through the sand. I was dying. Like, that was really fun.
Jared, I haven't read the sexual innuendo for this week, but please tell me it had something to do with like grabbing onto a pole or something like that, or...
It involves Morgan laying on Lindsay.
Oh, there's an image. Good image too. I like that one. Nina Acosta joined us in that week to recap that week's episode of Survivor Cagayan. Let's hear from one well contestant, Nina Acosta's thoughts on that episode now.
No, I really, she seems to be very focused, and of course things can change, but she seems to be kind of rolling with it. And when Garrett gave that whole big speech about, well, hey, I don't want anyone to go off and walk off and start, having conversations. We're going to get out right here. And she's like, no, this is not Survivor. This is what we do. So she kind of made it very clear what you want to do. She's very, and I think she's fierce. I mean, the challenge last night, she was fierce.
We had two more brand new interviews to go in March. First one was with Rob, the General DeCanio from Survivor, Mark Casis. Let's hear a little bit from the General.
You really battle for a while. At that point, you're seeing the finish line. You're almost seeing the finish line. And you're like, just come up short like that. It kind of sucks.
We then went back to the season of Panama. Misty Holmes joined us on the show. Let's hear from Misty.
And I remember wanting to literally fillet the skin off my feet for a while just so it would stop itching.
Wow.
But, yeah, it took months.
Wow.
And I've got some good scars to remember Survivor by.
Well,
thanks to those bug bites.
Yeah, good in a way that you can...
Yeah, good memory.
Continue with Panama. The first boot from Panama that season, Tina Shear, joined us to review an episode of Survivor Cagayan. Let's hear from Timbertina.
No, I really did. And tonight I like that. I was, watching him trying to knock off the idol, and I thought, gosh, how would I play that? Do you stand back and all of a sudden go in for a kick? Like, the one time Wu was just, sitting there, and he's sitting there, and he's sitting there, and he is moving, all of a sudden, boom, going in for the surprise. But Spencer had the first round. He did really well there, and I don't know who else won dropped it.
The month of March then came to a close with our final Oztopsy for the month, our fifth Oztopsy of the year. Time to hear from that right now.
Hashtag Trish is a man. I don't know. Russell Hance was tweeting that. That was quite funny.
Was he? I didn't actually see that. I'll have to go back and have a look.
He was trying to get it trending. Cliff Robinson tweeted it as well.
Oh, right. Okay, there you go. And what about for this episode of Survivor Oz, James?
Oh, God.
Hashtag Ben's not putting you on the spot.
Hashtag generic.
Yep. Hashtag where's Noah?
Yeah, hashtag where's Jared?
Where is Jared? Still missing. That brought the end of the month of March then to a close, and we then moved into the second quarter of the year going into April. But before we go to our April highlights, got to do some shameless plugging throughout this given the length of this episode. Always, of course, any interview that you do hear throughout this episode, any episode you hear throughout this episode, SurvivorOz.com. It's the easiest way to get all of those. There's an interviews tab on the side. You'll easily be able to navigate them, unlike how I speak, throughout the site. Or there's a search box up the top right-hand corner. Just search for the person or the episode that you're looking for. You'll easily be able to find it. Of course, remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes as well as Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and stay up to date with everything to do with Survivor Oz. Now that shameless advertising is out of the way, let's get into April. April would bring about it more Cagayan coverage, as well as a few new contestant interviews, starting off with Vanuatu contestant Mia Gallo-Talanza. I've been practicing that one for a while now. Let's hear a snippet of the Mia interview.
Yeah, it was right as Dolly got voted off. I mean, we could have just known at that point to break up our little alliance that we thought we had going on and realign ourselves with people. But, I mean, it's a little merge. See, I'm telling you, I'm fucking asleep tonight because I am going over this stuff with you. I'm not even kidding.
You're saying before that you loved Australia. You hate Australia
like a couple
now.
days ago. Huh?
I was saying before that you loved Australia. Now you're just going to hate Australia tonight.
Oh my God, I hate all. You know what I hate? That we can't find Tim Tams here. Why do they not sell this in Massachusetts? It's beyond me. They were carrying them at Target, and now they're gone.
Right. And for some reason, I've gotten Mia against Australia. But Tim Tams, you can get them in America. I've seen them before when I was there. We also brought you an interview that was sort of a long time coming. One of my personal favourite contestants, Kelly Goldsmith from the third season of Africa. Now, this had been sort of on the radar for a couple of years, really, and we finally got it locked in. And Kelly gave us a very in-depth chat with a lot of revealing moments.
I mean, I've got so many crazy nights with, like, Jenna from season 1, and then Jenna and Ethan and me hung out for a long time, and Kim, and it was just such a crazy band of misfits. And this was before Rob with 2 Bs was then on the show later, and oh my God, so many crazy things. Really, if there was, like, diehard fans out there who are interested in, I'm sure there's so much dirt that could be dug up from Survivor, over the past 500 contestants. It's fertile ground.
We're going to do that. We're going to do that in another episode, I think. We're just going to dig up the dirt.
It's unlimited. There's unlimited dirt to dig, let me tell you.
And we're still hoping to get Kelly back on for another episode, potentially the Random Secrets episode, which, number 2, should hopefully be coming in 2015. Oztopsy's continued. We had the 6th Oztopsy as we continue to talk about the 28th season of Cagayan, and we apparently created a new saying that you got Christy Smithed in terms of Sarah's vote out during that season, and this is some reactions to being Christy Smithed, Groves.
Well, firstly, Christy Smith sounds like getting Bryant Gumbel, and the Christy Dolly position, I don't know what that is.
Oh, and I'm meant to be the one with the dirty mind tonight. I always have a dirty mind. Sorry about that. We continued the episode recaps. Had a dual recap this week of April. City Hall and Amy O'Hara from Guatemala joined forces to review that week's episode of Cagayan. And as often is the case, particularly with Cindy, when you mention Stephanie, things can kind of go a little bit strange.
Amy is definitely correct in that is her profession, and she's obviously good at it, whereas Stephanie is not an independent thinker, which is why she didn't get my vote and she didn't get anyone else's vote.
I had to bring up Stephanie.
Oh, I said that over here, Massachusetts, Mama.
Oh, I had to mention the S word.
Man,
what?
Wow. No pun intended.
None at all. Cat sounds from Amy. That's what we wanted. And Stephanie LaGrossa, obviously a big fan. Well, Cindy's a big fan of hers. That time of the year where it was Reality Rally coming up, our very good friend and the mother of Survivor, Gillian Larson, joined us at that stage to talk about the 2014 Reality Rally.
People who have cancer spend many years trying to be a survivor, and it's very powerful. So anybody out there listening, I'm looking for a big donor to come in and click on realityrally.com, click on me, and it takes you to the crowdfunding project, and you can donate right there.
And you can still donate there. Of course, the 2015 Reality Rally only a few months away. And, of course, that month, our very own Ozlet Linda Foa travelled over to the USA and was our correspondent at Temecula, California for that Reality Rally. Now, there was no audio available of those interviews. They were all done via video. So if you wish to see all those interviews, there's interviews with the likes of Richard Hatch, Tina Wesson. They're all online, survivoroz.com. You can search for them there. We continued on our Cagayan coverage. Marty Piombo, who would join us a little later in the year alongside a contestant from the season he was talking about, Spencer Bledsoe. Spencer, of course, looked up a lot to Marty going into that season. Marty spoke to us about Cagayan, that week's episode. Let's hear a bit of that now.
Morgan's comments at Tribal are also, her one-liner that Jeff quoted, that's going to go down forever, and I'm sure that she's got to watch that Tribal, and forever her parents and her friends are going to say, Did you really say that? I mean, did you honestly say what you said? Because it was incredible.
Morgan was in everybody's mind as we went into our Oztopsy that week. Kristen made a very rare appearance on an Oztopsy. Of course, she would later go on in the year to be my co-host on Big Brother Oz, and we'd later learn what christening means. But let's hear from that week's Oztopsy. Kristen, Morgan, and Boobs.
I think we need to stick with the BBB theme here, and I think it's a hashtag bitchy boobs booted.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good, actually.
I got a slow clap.
You got like there was a delay and a.
If the rest of the panel's male, it's going to be very slow.
Yes, which is seriously, as soon as you mention the words like boobs, we're like, oh, Morgan, oh, boobs. So that's like a process we're going through right there.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
And she still doesn't understand a lot. Sorry, Chris. And hi, if you're listening, we love you. Continuing on the Oztopsies that month, and I sort of tried to explain how I thought Jeffra compared to certain soft drinks out there in the world. Well, Jeffra's Pepsi and Morgan's Coke. Like, they're still cola. But like, I prefer Coke over Pepsi.
So basically, we've got 7 contestants and a can of Pepsi left in the game. Is that what we're getting?
Yes. So Beyonce's got to be like on Jeffra all of a sudden, like all labelled across a shirt and everything, and you know, like an ad with her in a mirror being. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Jeffra could do good Pepsi ads, though.
She could. She'd be like, "When I first drunk a can of Pepsi." Was that better than a Tony impersonation?
Jeffra's going through a rough patch.
I still think my Tony impersonation is fine. We also continued our recaps with former contestants. We brought back the winner of the 4th season, Marquesas, for Sepia Robinson. Long time since we'd had her on the show. She also would join us a little later in the year for something else, but we'll get to that. But let's hear Sepia's thoughts on that week's episode of Cagayan. Is she, say, like a Nalia, perhaps?
No. Jeffra is just a pawn in this game. She's a number that they are using to get through the game. I don't think that she is a huge asset. I think that she is just an asset for them to continue on. I think eventually they'll let her ride, but I guarantee you, if she makes it to the end and there are 3 people there, she won't get any votes.
She we were talking a little bit last night on our episode we did about the fact that she seems to be shocked at everything that is said. Like, we're going to tribal council again? What? Like she seems to be shocked at everything that Jeff or other people say to her.
Everything. Exactly.
We also, that month, brought you another original interview. We'd already heard from Mia and Kelly earlier on. Time to hear from T-Bird, Teresa Cooper. It was a good month for Africa fans. T-Bird, another one that had been a long time in the works. Very busy lady is Teresa, as she's a flight attendant, of course, but a lot of people remember her from Africa, her sun-shining moment of singing a song from Annie. Let's hear a little snippet of how it went when I asked her to sing it again. Well, I have to ask you to put you in the zone right here this morning for you, T-Bird. Now, I'm putting you right on the spot with this. You have no idea I'm going to ask you this. What are the chances of you actually giving us a rendition of Tomorrow, famously sung by you in Survivor Africa?
And I don't think your fans are ready for that.
Damn it.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow. Till there's none. When I think of a day that's gray and lonely, I just pick up my chin and grin and say, that'll come out tomorrow. You want more, Ben?
Oh, look, I want to give you a separate round of applause for that. It was like you were born to do that this morning and you knew I was going to ask you. That is brilliant.
You knew I was going to do that.
How often do you break out to that on a flight, on a long-haul flight?
Actually, I've not broken out in song. You know what? I did actually do it for a charity. They were, they were giving money to the charity. I'm like, oh, yeah, shoot, yeah, absolutely. but not since then.
Wow.
Only for you, Ben.
And I appreciate that, T-Bird. Very entertaining interview. Download it. We continued the Cagayan episode recaps with former contestants. Another dual episode recap. Set the tone for, of course, Salman Del Sur later in the year. Ada Sylvester and RC Santa Moore from Philippines. They, of course, had their own podcast earlier this year. And they joined us for a recap episode. Let's hear a little bit of that now.
I was hot. That was one day when I was livid because I could not understand how people did not realize that this was not a good move in a game where the only substance you're given is rice. Nobody in there.
All right, I'm just gonna Artist, here's what I like to say, Ben.
Please, go for it.
This is what I like to say. Sometimes people don't know not themselves, but don't realize what they project or how they act on the island. So I really think that, like, and not specifically in regards to artists, but like Jatia, the things that she would say about herself when she was out there, it's like, you don't know yourself. And so I think that given the circumstance, you never really are starving or like without food or like sleeping on bamboo or like there's rain coming down. So sometimes you act and you just don't realize how you're coming off or what's happening until you
somebody
walk
like
back.
Abby Marie, perhaps?
I don't know. I'm just saying in general.
Very entertaining recap, and always like to bring up Abby to RC, and again later in the year that would come about even more so. Final episode of the month was our 10th Cagayan, episode 10 Cagayan recap, the 11th one that we had done up until that point. One of our favourite and most well-known Oslots is Ferdinand Joppi, or just Joppi as we like to refer him, from Norway, has the best accent amongst all the Oslots, maybe with the exception of Nokchista, but this is a snippet of Joppi giving his opinion on the lovable Spencer Bledsoe. Joppi, Spencer, more? You mentioned him before, but let's go back to him.
For me, he just reminds me of kind of a rich bitch frat boy who just ended up being one of the underdogs. But I don't think he's used to being an underdog in real life. So he's taking it really hard and just having a lot of shitty comments, and his facial expressions at tribal council, as you said, and in any situation, annoys the hell out of me. And I do think he's overexposed and overrated, as Julian said. Really overrated. Because he hasn't really done anything that worked.
And you'll hear a lot more of Joppi throughout the year as he brings you his always insightful opinion. That concluded April, a busy month, and we moved into the 5th month of the year. May commenced, and May, of course, will be the final month for Survivor Cagayan, and we continued our coverage with another Oztopsy. Now, former Oslot, who is now very much missed, she left us throughout the year. Riley Marshall was on this Oztopsy, and look, I honestly just wanted to hear her voice, because I miss Riley. Let's hear a little bit of this week's Oztopsy. Well, that week's Oztopsy, I should say. Welcome back, Riley.
Thanks. Sorry about that.
I was getting a bit upset there. I thought you'd just like, nah, fuck Survivor, I'm done with this shit, and you just left.
Just giving you a preview.
Yeah. No, well, welcome back, and wish you would come back, Riley. Come back, we miss you. She'll probably actually listen to this too. So hi, Riley, if you're listening, because I know you actually do listen to most of our episodes. We continued our Cagayan coverage with another episode recap. We brought back Ben Henry, or Benry, from Nicaragua for the first time since his interview. And one of our listeners, Ann Curtis, is a huge Benry fan, and I brought that point up to Benry. Now I'm going to start off with, I think your biggest fan on the planet Earth, Benry. Her name is Ann Curtis. She asked a question, first of all, to you. Which idol do you think Tony will play first? And then she's added at the end of it, from your biggest fan, Loveheart.
And what's your name?
Ann Curtis.
Ann Curtis. That is so sweet. Hi, Ann.
And hi, Ann, if you're listening. Again, similar to Riley, you probably actually are listening. Our next episode recap was with a very good friend of ours from Fiji, Rita Verios, who surprisingly had never done an episode recap up to that point, so we brought her on to do one. And she brought her own special guest. Her daughter joined us in this episode and decided to let us know how she thinks Australians sound and what Australians like to say.
So, yes, tell them what the...
Okay, so do I just do the...
Yes, go right ahead.
Go for it.
As you can see, there's a whole lot of lions. They're very dangerous. Right out here in the desert. Crikey, there's a crocodile. Nice.
Yeah, that was great.
Wait, there's
Oh, hang
more
on. Sorry, I
points.
got ahead of myself.
You got excited over.
I got way too excited there. Sorry.
Recognizing your accent.
There's so many lines to explore. Here we go. That's the catchphrase.
Oh, okay. We're going to have the
Here we
catchphrase.
go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Decent effort. One of the better Australian accents we've ever had on this show. Our next Oz Top C happened, our 12th of the season, reviewing episode 11. And the whole talk at that point of the season of Cagayan was all about this Tyler Perry idol. And to this day, I still really have no idea who Tyler Perry is. So at that point, I still didn't know who Tyler Perry was. But for some reason, not knowing who he was, I decided to try and impersonate him.
Yeah, they're building up the special powers. Show us some special powers already.
Tyler Perry comes out of somewhere and is like, hey, he's your idol, man. I have no idea what Tyler Perry sounds like, so I apologize if that was completely off. But, yeah, like, he's just going to pop, and he's going to be Tyler Perry going, Tony, the tribe hasn't spoken, you're safe.
I love how Tyler Perry is the first impression you want to apologize for on this show.
Yeah, well, you know, when I come to impersonate someone I have no idea who they are, then yes, I will apologize.
You'll just guess.
Yes, I will just guess. And just...
Also, is that really even an impersonation? You really just kind of went like, hey, like, da-da-da.
I'm Tyler Perry.
The Fonz. Tyler Perry. Hey. And the turns into the Fonz. We brought in a special guest, Colby Brown, one of our long-term listeners. Colby is a massive super fan of Survivor, who is trying very hard to become the very first person with Asperger's syndrome to be on the show. He had a massive month. He got to go to the Cagayan finale, meet Jeff Probst. He got high-fived by Jeff Probst on air. And in the lead-up to that, he came on to speak about his fandom of Survivor, and tell us a little bit about how he found out he was going to the Cagayan finale.
Yeah, it was actually revealed to me during an assembly at my school. Barbara, she called me up to the front of the school, and that's when she revealed the whole thing. It took me a second to almost not crap myself.
That's the best explanation I've had on the show, Colby. Go back and watch the Cagayan reunion when Jeff Probst carries the urn out and high-fives somebody in the crowd. That is Colby, and that was recorded just before he went on there. And there's a video going around Colby's mother posted on Facebook of Jeff Probst talking to Colby, so very lucky Colby there, and hopefully we will see him on Survivor one day. We also spoke to Lance Fitro. Now, Lance is the author of the Survivor Buffs Collector's Guide. We spoke to him a little bit about collecting Survivor Buffs, and here's a little bit of that Lance Fitro interview. I'm trying to use your guide as a thing here to see if I'd be ripped off in buying it. It's the All-Star Saboga Yellow Tribe Buff. Now, according to your guide, it is level 2, which is scarce, appears perhaps once or twice a year in the secondary market, released in February 2004. They're selling it for $250. Is that a bargain, or am I being ripped off?
That's, I wouldn't say a bargain, but that would be an original, because that's one that has not been produced as a reissue.
Okay.
So, and they are extremely hard to find.
So it's a decent price. $250
that's
is not
probably
too bad.
right there. Yeah.
Right there. Okay.
Yeah, if you're wanting to just go out and pick one up and not have to search around for a year or two.
Cagayan coverage continued. Another dual recap, Blood vs. Water pairing that unfortunately we didn't get on for Blood vs. Water 2 as a recap, because this was arguably one of our best ever recaps we've ever done. Tina Weston and Katie Collins joined us, and Tina and I kind of got into a little, wasn't really a fight, I would say, but it came down to a bit of a, I suppose you could say, a debate about my love of Brian Heideck and Tina's not like of or dislike of Brian Heideck. And I'm just trying to think, there were a couple of people that said they wouldn't have voted for you, Tina. I'm just trying to think.
Oh, thanks, Ben.
I just want to bring you down a peg.
I'm going to tell you, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Ben, I brought her up to the heavens, and you pulled her right back down to earth.
I know, right? That's what I do. No, I'm still angry at Tina because Tina's not a Brian Heideck fan, and I am. So, look, that's what I have against Tina. So let's just be honest about that.
You're the only one on the planet that is a Brian Heideck fan.
Oh, I'll challenge you on that one, Tina. Come on. Still waiting to challenge her on that one. Maybe it'll happen one day. Our Oztopsy that week was one of our more interesting ones. That was the very infamous week that Tony gave us the llama impersonation. In the full Tina and Katie recap, I got them both to do a llama impersonation, so I then had to get our Ozlets to do a llama impersonation live on our Oztopsy. Let's hear several of our Ozlets doing a llama impersonation, including James, who at the time was recording in a pub in the UK. How does a llama sound?
Oh, I don't think I could do it justice, but...
You sounded like the African music, la 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 la. Colin, give us a llama.
Well, that's what the snug llamas sound like anyway.
I don't know. A better question is like, what does a llama sound like saying, "I'm a police officer"?
Oh, God. Julian, llama me. I'm crying right now. Kate, llama me.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that was pathetic.
I know, I can't do a llama.
If Nick was on the line, we would say he could do a llama. James, give us a llama impersonation.
Llama, 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 llama. And yet it still sounds distinguished in his accent.
Like, it's a very posh llama. Hangs out with Will and Kate. Our final recap of the season from the finale and the reunion came in the form of the great Benjamin Coach Wade, who made several appearances on our show throughout the year, which obviously we very much appreciated. And Coach thought he decoded Blood vs. Water 2, thinking that it was all going to be returning players, and that he'd caught sort of a bit of an exclusive by hearing the names of people throughout the preview. I, however, had to sort of correct him on what actually he was seeing. Well, I think just sort of to interrupt you, I think actually all those quotes actually that they were playing over the top were quotes from last season. So I think that's sort of what they were saying, kind of with the twist of how.
Don't I look like the dumbass then? Huh? Here I am. Please cut that part out of the interview. That's terrible. What an idiot. My goodness. Okay. So anyway. Okay. So great. All new players. I thought maybe I had gotten a little golden nugget out of it, but okay, fine.
It's not too often I get to correct the great man such as Coach. Our final Oztopsy of the season was a very interesting one of the funniest moments ever in an Oztopsy, when we had a slight interruption of something going in the background at Clifton's house.
Songs like Shake It to Morella, I get that a lot.
Oh yeah, Shake It to Morella. Shake It to Morella. Yeah, that's a good song. Who do you want to see most return for another season? Mr. Man on a Boat with 50 Shades of Grey. Oh, what's going on? Hang on a minute. There's a train. There's a train going through. What's this see you on the train business? There's literally a train. Whoa! Everyone on board. Clifton, hang on a minute. Clifton, are you late for a train or something?
No, I have a very crappy apartment location.
Do you live on the train tracks?
We're not too far away. Yeah.
Well, hello, sir. Conductor. Sorry, James.
I want to see Cass return most out of everybody.
Okay. Well, there's a doorbell. What's going on here? I don't like doing these during the day. Go back to being like 7 a.m. in the morning. One of the funniest moments ever, and still cracks me up every time I hear that. Now, in the month of May, of course, at the end of Cagayan, we led up into the Oscars, and you'll hear a little bit of the Oscars coming up for you in the month of June. But in the month of May, we were very busy in the fact that we sat down with all of our new Ozlets and heard interviews with them. We spoke to Paul, Clifton, Jared, Joppy, Bridget, Julian, Rossi, Kristen, Kate, Ivan, and Andrew. We should also speak to Daniel at Ozlet, but he left since we recorded those, so we won't be playing a snippet of Daniel's, unfortunately. But let's hear a bit of a package of some of the best bits from the Ozlet introduction interviews that are, of course, all available via our website.
But yeah, I really didn't start watching until maybe 15 or 18 months ago, somewhere in there.
when a friend, I say a friend.
Say girlfriend, come on.
It just feels a bit strange saying girlfriend. But yeah, and my girlfriend got me back into it, and I made fun of her at first for watching it. But then I watched an episode or two, and I was hooked again. And since then, I've just rewatched every season twice, basically.
There's a lot of fun, and she has a stepfather who is insane and is always in all the media doing drama and crying and be like, why don't I have any money? I want to be royal too.
That's why you don't have many TV shows, because you've just got the royal family to watch.
Yeah, we have a lot of reality shows, that's true. We actually do a whole shitloads of reality, but everything sucks.
A few breaks towards the middle. In high school I did like a girly show, The OC, so, and it was on the same night.
That's a good show.
I know, I loved that show. They were on the same night, so I had I would flip back and forth on commercial breaks, and yeah.
No Americans, but a few UK people and a Greek girl. And I was like, we came here because of Survivor, like me and my partner Tim. We pretty much were inspired to go to Guatemala because of that's my favourite season. And I was like, let's go to Central America, like it'd be awesome. And so we did.
Like, even if you don't watch Survivor, you've heard about Richard Hatch and you hear that people get voted off an island, but I don't think I really knew much more about it. And I just got bored one night and he was like, yeah, watch it. So shout out to Zach.
So Zach
I'm going to make him listen. I'm going to make him listen to this. So
Zach basically got you bored enough to watch it then, so...
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, I think it's better for the earlier seasons because not too much drama happens or anything. So I think talking over is really interesting to hear. Oh, and they have 4 shirts or something like that, and Jervis had 20 confessionals this episode or something like that. I think that's kind of a new aspect.
I still haven't seen Borneo. I've watched the first 2 episodes of Australia. Still trying to get at Africa, and then I've seen. I remember in one time I was on vacation in Mexico, and they played the episode of Thailand when Xi'an was voted out.
Okay.
So that's the one episode of Thailand I've seen.
I'm pretty excited. I'm not entirely excited about the weather because someone told me it might be hailing tomorrow. But I'm pretty excited to go to the game and see what it's all about.
Is it Etihad or the MCG?
Etihad.
Oh, there's a roof there. You'll be fine.
Okay.
It's a lot. I've hung out with Jeff Probst more than a lot of my friends.
You're making up for lost time, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Not really. I think the thing, more so I should sort of try and block out the end if at all possible. There's always a person who they're not going to win, but I try not to read into it that much because I sort of don't want it to be like, oh, it's obvious that this person's going to win. So if anything, I sort of try and block it out and don't focus on how many confessionals someone had if they're getting lots of airtime.
Let me see. I can't remember her name. There was one person who came from my hometown who I never met or knew anything about. I just saw she was a season that after I stopped watching when I was a kid. I think it was, the Palau. I think it was Micronesia, actually. Somebody on Micronesia, older, maybe 30 to 40 woman. I'm going down a rabbit hole. No good.
Out.
There's somebody from Fredericksburg, Virginia, on Micronesia who, I'm interested in that. But I've had a few posts retweeted by Coach on Twitter.
It's always a good thing, if you ask me. And of course, all of the Ozlip introduction interviews are available in their entire length, just like with every other episode and interview here throughout this episode via SurvivorOz.com. Headed into June, a fairly quiet month by our standards, particularly as the end part of the year would be extremely busy. You'll hear from the Oscars. That was what, of course, was on everybody's lips on the month of June in the Survivor world in just a few moments. But we also got the chance to sit down with one of my personal favourite guests and players of all time, Mr. Russell Hantz, who spoke to us about the new reality show that he had been filming that he was trying to get off the ground and some behind-the-scenes moments from it.
But he was started posting videos where I had to delete them. I'm like, I can't, people can't, you can't do that, Brandon. Walking up in a girl's house and filming her and answering her questions, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, where are we going with this? Like, this isn't, it isn't that kind of show. So I had to delete his videos. But that's Brandon, and if I had to delete it, knowing that, if Russell Hantz is deleting videos because it's too much, it's too much.
Yes, it's going to have to be called, holding back Brandon Hantz or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's
Stopping from
about it.
And I'm still surprised that Holding Hands hasn't been picked up. We hope it does, because it does look very entertaining, whether you're a Russell fan or not. Now, as I mentioned before, Oscars were on everybody's lips for the month of June. 2 episodes in June. We first of all had to reveal the finalists for the Oscars on a live episode. Let's hear a snippet from the Oscars live reveal. The first nominee for Biggest Hero for 2013-2014 from Survivor. That is a very loud drumming sound, Noah Groves. From Survivor, Cagayan, Spencer Bledsoe. You can clap. I think we should clap for, like, nominees. Potentially. The second nominee, Kate's so distraught that Spencer got nominated for a Biggest Hero that she's dropped out. The second nominee for Biggest Hero, 2013-2014, from Survivor, Cagayan, Miss Tasha Fox. Noah's happy about that. We then had to reveal the winners of the Oscars in our biggest ever awards ceremony. A live episode featured a wide variety of special guests. Brian Heideck was on the line throughout this one, just to name one big name. We had plenty of other guests from a wide variety of seasons, but we had a lot of Cagayan guests join us, including 2 people who were on this episode who we still actually haven't done a full-length interview with. That is Jatia Taylor and LJ McCannis. And, of course, when it comes to Jatia was on the line with Spencer when it came to announcing the winner of the biggest villain for 2013-2014. Let's hear the announcement of that award with Spencer and Jatia on the line. From Survivor Cagayan, Jatia Taylor.
Nice.
Yay me!
And from Survivor Blood vs. Water, Colton Cumby.
All right. I think that our season is probably going to take this one. I think we have some strong contenders.
You do, and I will say this was a very close one as well. So
I think it's Cass, just me personally.
The winner of the...
Yeah, I think Cass and Tony have to be the front runners, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We're about to see. The winner is... Cass McQuillan!
Woo! Yay! Can I curse? I'm not sure.
You're allowed to curse. Fucking swear.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, for the bitches!
A brain wins it. Now, I just say, Cass narrowly beat out Tony by about 1.4%. Tony actually took the lead with a couple of days to go, and I thought he had it. But then Cass did it. Jatia, you got third, so you got a bronze medal.
Woo! Yes!
Season dominating.
You beat out you beat out the Blood vs. Water people. That's what the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Brad Culpepper, come on. Yeah, did Brad Culpepper throw rice in a fire? I don't think so.
Hear from Spencer a couple more times, of course, throughout this episode, as we did our full-length interview with him, and he joined us for an episode recap on San Juan del Sur. Our final, at least audio interview for the month of June, was a very big name, Malcolm Freeberg. Now, it's been a while since we've been trying to get Malcolm on. Finally got him on. It was a short interview, but it was still a very in-depth chat. We're still looking to get Malcolm on, of course, for a longer interview than half an hour, but let's hear a little snippet of our Malcolm Freeberg interview.
Why aren't you taking advantage of the skill set you have? You're obviously kind of smart. Why are you just wasting your time? And I locked up because now I know it's Mark Burnett and he's yelling at me and I've only been here for 5 minutes and I'm getting really nervous. But Probst, I really believe because I'd endeared myself to him with the grandma comment, defended me. And he's like, I love it. Good for him. He's doing what he wants to do. He's young. He should be exploring and doing things like that. And I pointed at Probst and go, yeah, what he said was my answer. He just got to it first. And then at the story from the Reddit AMA is that I immediately had this sense of fatherly attachment to Probst. And I was like, oh, he really likes me. This is going great. And then the first day in Philippines, he said something that clearly meant that he had no affection towards me whatsoever. He'd already dismissed me. And I was like, oh, shit, never mind.
Fingers crossed 2015 will bring a longer interview with him. Now, as we essentially get to the halfway point of the year, we are at the halfway point of the year. Not really the halfway point of the episode, because the second half of the year was a lot bigger than the first. So the second part of this episode for the second half of the year will go longer, if you're not losing track of me. But, of course, I've got to come in at this point, do some shameless plugging, just at the time when no doubt you go off and just stretch your legs a little bit, stretch your ears, just stretch your body, do some pulling of the arms and the legs, because you've still got a bit of this episode to listen to, particularly if you're listening to it in one go. Good on you for doing this in one sitting. sitting and not breaking it down. If you're breaking it down into bits, then good on you as well. SurvivorOz.com, of course, is where you can get all of the episodes and interviews that you'll be hearing throughout this massively best of 2014 episode. Of course, we don't mention throughout this episode in terms of articles and top 10s and things like that. We did do a best of 2014 post a couple of days ago. Whilst that Julian Gronenberg did that fantastically, so you can read a few things what happened there that you're going to miss out on. Of course, on June, I shouldn't really mention, Shauna Mitchell was interviewed. I didn't mention that a few minutes ago. That was a written interview. We did 2 written interviews this year with 2 members of Amazon, Shauna Mitchell and Matt von Ertfolder, the next month, not audios. So Shauna Mitchell, you have to read via our website. But remember to subscribe to us via iTunes and Stitcher, as well as TuneIn Radio, or whatever service you use for podcasting, and that is the easiest way to get these episodes direct to your portable device. We are, of course, also on YouTube now. All our episodes, our new ones at least, get put on there for you to listen and stream. And 2015 is going to be a massive year for us, massive year as it is every single year, and a massive year Survivor, 30th season, 15 years. We're doing a massive celebratory series of podcasts in the lead up to the 30th season, which you will hear and no doubt read more about in the coming weeks if you're listening to this episode at the time of publication. But yeah, stay tuned to us because we've got a lot more to come. But we've got a lot more coming to this episode. That's the second time we've shamelessly plugged this episode. Probably do it a couple more times, so just call it in-episode advertising. Coming soon to a podcast in 2015. Let's move on and go on to July. July was upon us, and as we continued in the mid-year break that happens between the 2 seasons of Survivor, we continued some interviews this month, including some Cagayan interviews, starting off with Garrett Adelstein, who gave us an interview. It turned out longer than it actually, we got to see him on our screens, and a very entertaining interview too. Let's hear a snippet of Garrett. Well, you've got to admit to me, Garrett, did when you get home, did you Google Jatia Taylor Playboy at all?
Oh, of course. Of course. That's the most outrageous question ever. Yeah. Any heterosexual male who wouldn't,
yes.
I would have a good question.
Yes, it's in my Google search history, I will admit. Now,
of course, yeah.
And we then had another interview coming your way with another contestant, another male contestant from South Pacific. His name was Jim Rice. Let's hear from Jim Rice.
I mean, you put anybody else up against her in that last one. But I don't know if you want to get into that now, but that's what we looked at. At the end, it's at the merge, if we send Cochran to Redemption Island, he's not coming back from that, and all of a sudden we're down 5-6, and Christina is coming back, and the only thing that we can offer her is a tie on a 6-6 vote after the merge. So that's why we sent Ozzy and somebody who we knew would probably win and make it at least 6-6, but it didn't quite work out how we wanted it to.
Entertaining chat there, I feel, with Jim. Definitely worth a listen to. The first boot of Cagayan was next. A man who we, funnily enough, thought we'd probably never get on the show, at least for a long time, kind of similar to how we thought about Jeff Kent. We still haven't had Jeff on the show. David Sampson. We managed to get a hold of him, get him on the show, and let's hear a little snippet of David Sampson's interview.
I thought that she had a chance to make it far in the game. And I thought that Spencer did too. Those were the 2 people I was aligned with, and I thought that we would have an easy alliance to get out Jatia and to get out Tasha, who turned out to be a great player, by the way. And it's Survivor, man. I mean, they just didn't want me around, and I really wasn't upset about it because I wouldn't have done anything differently. And the way I run my business and run the baseball team and everything else is you're not going to be right all the time. But if you have conviction about what you do and you've got a good reason for doing it, then you can't have any regrets.
Good message there. Good interview as well with David Sampson. A guy who we had tried to get on about a year beforehand, was blocked from doing the interview, but finally got him on in 2014. Reynold Topher from Caramoan. And Reynold started to speak a little bit about his relationship with Sherry.
Sherry was the initial, everyone is united in about voting Sherry out.
Right.
Because she was playing very hard. She was forming alliances with everyone and was so busy, and everyone's like, this old bird is crazy, so we need to get her out even before Shamar. And then, but we ended up winning that first immunity challenge, and I guarantee you Sherry would have gone home in the first tribal had we lost our first immunity challenge. So it's very interesting now to see how it all plays out, where just a little bit more time all of a sudden it evolved where Sherry got an in with everybody else. Shamar made himself a bit of a target. I made myself a bit of a target, formed a opposition there, and then, Sherry ends up going all the way to the final three. It's like, I would have never, in my first 48 hours on Go to Beach, projected Sherry going to the end.
Big episode that we had for you in July was our World Cup special. Now, the World Cup was on throughout the month of June and July, well, the months of June and July, the biggest sporting event in the world. And we had the one and only Benjamin Coach Wade approach us and say, well, look, how about a special World Cup episode? He would come on the show, he would get Brazilian Firebird Abby Marie Gomez, and for the very first time on our show, a man who would appear 2 times throughout the year, including for a full-length interview, the winner of the 3rd season of Africa and former professional soccer player Ethan Zahn. Let's hear a little snippet of our very special World Cup episode.
We must take account of the incredible. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for it, but there's a lot of afros out there at the World Cup.
Yes,
right?
there
There's
are.
a lot of guys, Coach, I think you inspired the entire Greece team. They got great hair like you, kind of pulled back in that warrior look, and I think we're responsible for all of that. True.
Yeah, take credit for it. Please do take credit for it. I think he should. Now, one interview that we won't be able to play for you throughout this best of is our interview with Matt von Ertfelder from Amazon. Matt von Ertfelder, as you heard me mention, in June, gave a written interview. Matt's a very busy man, travels the world, and it's very hard to knuckle down for a chat over Skype or on the phone, but he graciously accepted the opportunity to answer some questions, which we sent to him via email. He sat down and answered them, and that interview is available on our website. Quite an interesting chat there as well. Speaking of interesting chats, a very big name in terms of fan favourite, a woman who was one of the very earliest characters in the history of Survivor. I do speak of Marilyn Mad Dog Hershey. I really don't need to say a lot about this interview. Let's just hear a snippet of it now. Can I put you on the spot completely? Could you drop us a verse of your favourite song?
Oh, God. I'm a stoner, I'm a stoner, I'm a stoner. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't. I don't know if I know that
Are you
one.
out of breath? Look, I'm 65 years old, but Ben, trust me, I'm not a stoner. Oh, I woke up in the new Bugatti. I woke up in the new Bugatti. Did you get that?
I did.
And look, waking up in a new Bugatti's good, but if you don't have any keys,
Then where?
you know?
Yes, exactly.
Shit. No keys. Yeah.
Wow.
I just love it, Ben.
That is
I love
fantastic.
it. And when I go to the gas station to fill up my big black Avalanche truck, I've got the windows down and my speakers are just pumping out the hip hop. And folks turn around and take a look at what's driving that and has that in their vehicle, and their jaws drop.
A lot of jaws are dropping right now, so I can imagine.
You think?
Yes. One of the funniest interviews that we did all year and in the history of Survivor Oz. Speaking of big names, didn't come very much bigger at that time, at least, of Survivor than the winner of the 28th season, Tony Vlachos, and very entertaining interview, one of our longest ever. And, of course, a lot of people knew that I did a very bad impersonation of him throughout our OzCaps, OzTopsies, I should say, throughout the year. And got a list of questions sent in that asked me to do my best Tony Vlachos impersonation to the man himself. Here is how Tony reacted to that. Aidan Masden. Now, I was waiting for somebody to send this in, Tony. Throughout the season, I would break out into a terrible Tony impersonation. I don't know if you want to hear my Tony impersonation, or whether we will skip over that question, or.
Let's hear it.
All right, this is embarrassing. I'm Tony, police officer. I'm going to win Survivor. See, it sounds terrible. See, just coming out of my mouth, I just wanted to stop myself.
Hey, you know what? Never do that again, man.
the fact that I've had the person himself tell me that, I think I'll officially retire the terrible Tony impersonation.
Oh, geez, that was horrible.
Thank you very much. I basically retired the Tony impersonation thanks to the man warning him off. He's a police officer, so he probably could track me down. We did our Cagayan OzCap in July, and let's just say it turned quite interesting. This next clip may offend some people. If you haven't listened to the Cagayan OzCap, then you'll be in for a bit of a shock. But let's just say it went a certain direction that I wasn't expecting. It was quite funny, but again, this may offend some people.
We know you want to bang them.
Say that again, Julian?
We know you want to bang them. Or what's the titty fuck?
Can I just back up and say, did you actually just utter the words titty fuck?
Yes, I did. Is that too rude? We're on there, mate.
Oh my.
What the hell?
What do you mean? What the hell? You started it.
Wow.
Wow, that actually just happened. Julian, you are my new best friend.
Is it too rude? Like, it's... I don't know.
Is it too rude?
You've said it now. I am so glad Lancey left.
She wouldn't appreciate it, yeah. I feel bad.
Kate, how are you feeling right now?
I'm alright, I guess. Whatever.
It either sounds like you're laughing or about to vomit.
No, I'm not gonna vomit.
We still haven't got the explicit tag up on iTunes for some reason. You heard from our next guest earlier on the Oscars. Spencer Bledsoe, of course, one of the big names from Cagayan, came on for a full-length interview. Again, one of our longest interviews we ever did. Speaking of the Oscars, Spencer was still pretty chuffed that he won a bunch of them, and he spoke a little bit about that in his interview with us.
Of course. I mean, if you think Survivor's life-changing, wait till you see how life-changing it is to win 3 Oscars. I mean, I can't not be doing well after that.
Exactly. I mean, fourth place in Survivor is nothing until you can say you've won the Oscars.
And you'll hear from Spencer again a little later in this episode as he joined us for an episode recap, as I mentioned before, with Marty Piombo. Another interview we did was with another contestant similar to Reynolds that we had to hold off for at least a year. She was from Caramoan. I speak of Julia Landauer, and Cochrane decided that she was like vanilla ice cream. Well, what did Julia think Cochrane was like? What ice cream did she think he was like?
What kind of ice cream is Cochrane?
Oh, kind of like the ice cream that what happens to it after the freezer's left open a little bit and it gets all crystallized and sharp. So flavor doesn't really matter, but the texture, it's just not good.
Icy.
Regardless of the flavor. Yeah, icy and just like unpleasant in the mouth,
Yeah. It's a motto for most people, and I do know that Cochrane is a male, not a female. Trish Hegarty from Cagayan was interviewed this month, and always going to be an entertaining chat with Trish. Didn't disappoint. Let's hear a little snippet of that now.
Believe it or not, it was Lindsay who said, "Oh, there's a nice lady."
Wow, okay.
Little bitch. There's a nice lady, like I'm some old lady.
Now, the month of July was a big month for us because it brought us our very first spin-off show. That's right. The Amazing Race Oz commenced in July as we got ready for the Australia-New Zealand season, Australia versus New Zealand, the third season of the Australian version of The Amazing Race. And we were very excited to cover another reality show. Kind of went against what we always planned on doing. We always said we'd stick to Survivor, and we clearly broke that promise throughout 2014. However, we sat down, myself, Noah, Nick, a bunch of the other Ozlets, and previewed what turned out to be a very entertaining season of The Amazing Race. And I, of course, had to make a big deal out of it and add some music and some special things into it, particularly when it came to introducing the New Zealand contestants. And this is how that happened with our New Zealand Ozlet, Nokchista, also chiming in, of course, for, let's just say good measure. Let's press play on this. Now, this is a New Zealand national anthem, Nick. Now, what is this? God Defend New Zealand? Is that the correct title?
Well, somebody has to.
It's, now, people who are listening to these national anthems, this is a New Zealand, you hear the Australian one later on. I have to say that the Australian New Zealand national anthems are quite boring. They're not really that passionate. Our athletes, when they win gold, don't look overly excited, because it's not like, oh, say, can you see? It's just like, God defend New Zealand. I mean, Nick, does this bring a tear to your eye hearing this?
No, not really. I mean, we get more into the haka afterwards,
I need to find that. Is that like trademarked, the Hucker, or?
No, it's got to be on YouTube somewhere, surely.
I don't know if you want my rugby CDs. You can get it.
You've got rugby CDs, Alex, with the Hucker on.
Yeah, they've recorded.
Wow.
I think the New Zealand national anthem should be "I've Got Hurt Feelings" by the Flight of the Congress.
I always thought the national anthem of New Zealand was the Dave Dobbins, what is it, Slice of Heaven?
Loyal.
Yeah, or any Crowded House song. Still think that's the truth, really. Hello to all our New Zealand listeners. Before we move on to August, I should also point out July was a huge month for us for two reasons as well. We got our very first number one on iTunes, which we were very much pleased with. Our podcast itself was the number one TV and film podcast in all of Australia and cracked the top 100 as well on the overall podcasts on iTunes. And we won our very first award. We won the realityshow.eu award for the best foreign website, the Czech and Slovak Reality Awards. So big shout out for those, big kudos for us, and two big nods, and ones that we are very proud of and very much appreciate. If I learn how to speak, that's probably why we haven't won more. But thank you guys, and thanks for making us number one as well at the same time. August came about, and the return of the commentaries was on as we closed off our Marquesas commentaries and also brought you some Thailand commentaries. Now, we don't usually bring you commentary highlights because we do so many of them and we don't really think they're highlight worthy. However, we will bring you a couple of highlights right now as we bring you a bit of a snippet here from our Marquesas finale commentary, because of course John Carroll joined us for all of the Marquesas commentaries, but for the finale we were also joined by the winner in Vesepia Robinson ni Towery, as well as a runner-up, Nalia Nielsen ni Dennis. Let's hear a snippet of this now.
That's exactly what I said was, because I remember Sean and I would talk about it. It's like, man, why do the black no-nos got to be in the jungle? And why do the white no-nos get to be on the beach? And I said, because the white no-nos are trying to turn black and get a tan so that they can look like the black no-nos in the jungle.
Because I remember when they told us that, Sean looked over at me like, seriously?
Yeah. Like the black no-nos are going to be in the jungle, and the white no-nos are laying on the beach. Isn't that just the way it goes?
Right.
We then moved on to Thailand. We did 7 Thailand commentaries in the month of August. However, the first 2 were done with a very good friend of ours and a lady who was on the first 2 episodes before being the second boot. Incidentally, of course, the greatest second boot of all time, according to our Oscars in 2014. The wonderful Tanya Vance. Let's hear her commentary, her reaction to her vote out.
No.
Don't do it, Tanya. Stay.
Bye-bye, Tennessee Tanya.
Oh, nice knowing nod. Wave, kiss. Oh, you should have kissed Probst. You should have beaten Dawson 20 seasons later.
Oh, look at Brian. He looks sad.
Oh, Jan's crying.
Oh.
Does Jan cry at every vote? I don't know if I've noticed this.
Probably. She probably does, actually.
Big hello to Jan if she's listening. And, please download our commentaries, even the ones without the survivors on it, because they're a lot of fun that we do them, and we do think that they're kind of worth a listen to. We brought back a parody song in the month of August. This year, we celebrated the man that is Jeff Probst. And to the LMFAO hit, I'm Sexy and I Know It. This is called I'm Probst and I Know It. Hear a bit of this now.
When you walk into tribal,
yeah,
this is what I see.
Okay.
Everybody sits and tries to annoy me. I got a potty mouth to use and I ain't afraid to say shit. Say shit, say shit, say shit. I'm Probst and I know it. I'm Probst and I know it.
Yo! Amazing Race Oz continued for the month of August as we went into the first episode of Season 3 of the Australian version, and in this episode we discovered on the website that Channel 7 had removed a couple of teams and doubled up on a couple of them, and this was our reaction to that. John and Murray aren't on there, and Sally and Tyson aren't on there. They've
Sorry, I just looked at it. Why are they...
Can we just I hope when people listen to this, it's still like this, because people might think we're lying. I might have to take a screenshot of this or something.
I might need to take back that apology because they've got two teams on there twice, right next to each other.
I've just taken a screenshot.
Yeah, because it's for the first boots and the winners.
Clearly. Oh,
maybe.
So the lovable siblings love each other all the way to the end, do they? And can I just point out we don't actually know any spoilers, so please don't rip into us. Well, this was filmed in March, so I'm guessing they know they won. Survivor interviews continued. Jolanda Jones was spoken to, another one of these contestants who we had lined up for a long time and finally got the chance to sit down with her. At the time, it was the longest interview that we had ever done. Cracked the 2-hour mark and was a very lengthy chat and very interesting chat. Let's just put it that way. So let's hear a snippet of the Jolanda Jones interview.
Oh my, this is not me. I'm watching. We're going to be famous. Do you know how many people applied for Survivor? 55,000 people. And they picked us. And I mean, and so I had no idea how popular the damn game was. And they were sitting up there like, oh my God, I'm never in. And when I saw Survivor, the 3 episodes I saw, the girls were always frolicking around in bikinis or bras and stuff. Again, I had the ugliest bra and panties on because I didn't know the damn game was starting. So I didn't wear my swimsuit. Like I say, I hate that bra and panties. If I had to do all over again, I would have worn prettier bra and panties.
Continuing on our Amazing Race coverage, and we discovered that some of the contestants from the Amazing Race season were actually listening to our show. Yay! And Nockchista discovered that some of them were also nearby to where he lived. So this was Nock's reaction to some people listening to our show.
But do we actually know they're official listeners?
Well, they listened to the preview one, so we just assume they listen every week now.
They're listeners. I don't know what a listener is.
Yeah.
They're listeners.
Well, I mean, if they want to catch up at I'm just trying to think of a local bar that would be good to. We'll go to Good George or House Bar or wherever in Hamilton and just have a quiet drink and talk about the Amazing Race. Why not?
Good George. Is George good?
George is very good. He's expensive though.
Okay, bloody George, bloody George. More New Zealand, Australia goodness came about in our next Amazing Race Oz episode recap. Another snippet of that for you now.
Oh, yeah, bring them back. Outcast twist.
Outcast twist. Complete with a dingo and a baby.
That would be too great if they had an outcast.
Thank you.
Bring them back for Amazing Race Australia All-Star.
Yeah!
Yes. Thank you.
We need to get this campaign going.
The month of August also celebrated 2 years of the Ozlets. Our second Ozlet anniversary episode came about, and I decided to test our original Ozlets on our newer Ozlets, including Troy and Ethan, about a bunch of Ozlets that they had honestly never heard of. And when Troy tried to remember one of their names again, let's just say a now infamous nickname stuck to them. I want you to give me your top 3 hottest Survivor Ozlet chicks. Troy, who are your top 3?
Number 1 is Lancy. Number 2 is Linda, and number 3 is
can you name
Flossie, the graphics design girl.
Did you just say Flossie?
What was the name earlier? I forgot the name. See, that's what.
Who the fuck is Flossie?
I said Flossie. Maybe I did say Flossie. Maybe I did.
Wow. So you're going with our with Alina? Is that who you mean?
Yes, Alina. Okay. I was close.
Yeah, Flossie and Alina. I get those two confused all the time. Another Amazing Race episode happened. Another preview or review episode, that is the correct way to go about it, Ben, came about. And let's hear another bit of that for you now. Alex, I tell you, we're 9 minutes into recording this episode, and we're only just about to start talking about the Amazing Race right now. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
That works fine with me then.
Yes, just quickly, were you shocked that Adrian went home instead of Sydney on the X Factor?
I taped it. You ruined it.
Oh, shit.
That's all good.
Oh, that's like the angriest I've ever heard Alex. And also, would you like to send any well wishes out to Red Foo, by the way, who's recovering from a cut above his eye?
I'm LMFAO.
Oh, he went there. A record-breaking episode came about next. A record, actually, that only lasted a couple of weeks, to be honest. Our San Juan del Sur preview episode. This clocked in at a whopping 4 hours, 9 minutes, and 43 seconds. At the time, our longest episode ever. And it was quite an interesting and somewhat controversial episode. There were things said, things that happened that to this day we will not talk about. Let's hear what happened, kind of in that episode.
I think that she'll get in a strong alliance, but it'll be on the wrong side of the numbers. And she'll end up 10th. There we go. What are we writing here? Okay, yeah, that's...
Julian, you had a chance.
Technical issues. Please stand by. 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 Technical issues. Please stand by.
Yeah, and we still won't tell you what exactly it was typed there. That was the month of August, getting into a very busy September. A very busy September kicked off with another parody song. We love a good parody song, and this was a San Juan del Sur parody song. We're about to see the premiere of the 29th season, and the idea for this one came at really about the end of Cagayan into our preview episode of the season, that it sounded very similar to an old French/Belgian song that we decided to turn into a English/San Juan del Sur/Survivor song. The song was simply called San Juan del Sur. Let's hear a snippet of that now.
Amazing race, couple, baseball controversial, Broadway performers, they are Spider-Man adorers. Farmer, son and father, mother and daughter. They are cheerleaders. San Juan del Sur. San Juan del Sur. San Juan del Sur, San Juan del Sur. San Juan del Sur.
Oh, sorry, I was just singing along to that one there. Awkward. Big Brother Oz, our second spin-off show, commenced in September as the 11th season of Big Brother Australia started on our screens. Myself, Kristen and Alex were the hosts of this, and we brought in a wide variety of Big Brother-based guests over the course of 2 months. Had a lot of episodes, a lot of fun. Let's hear a snippet from the very first episode that we recorded with myself and Kristen.
The season, I want to spoil a bunch of stuff if you haven't seen old seasons of Big Brother US, so skip this part.
We've been very nice, aren't we? Like, don't spoil the Australian ones to Kristen, but if you haven't seen the US ones, fuck you.
I just said fast forward through this part.
Skip along. Skip along.
Just fast forward like 2 minutes if you haven't seen old Big Brother US. So anyway.
There were no spoilers in there, just for people listening to this. Amazing Race continued in September. Time to hear another bit of highlights from that episode. Well, the episode that week that I want to play. I'm just going to shut up and press play.
Ben, have you heard the band The Hives?
I've heard of The Hives, yes.
They have a song that says, I hate to say I told you so, which is very appropriate for this.
Oh, here we go. Here comes Noah Groves.
You don't know
What's that sound? What's that sound like? It's a horse. Nee! Oh, it's Noah Groves and his high horse. Hello, Noah. What's going on, mate?
That horse sounded a lot more closer to the ground than it should have. So.
Hang on a minute. Was that better?
This is the guy who says there's going to be no non-eliminations and that to be continued would end in someone being voted out.
Can we just rewind back to the start of this episode where I said I've basically seen hardly any of the Amazing Race? Right? You're getting this is like you two coming on an episode of the qualifying lap and me asking your opinion on Lewis Hamilton and how you think that Michael Schumacher went in the 1999 Formula One season. So.
Except for it's just common maths. But anyway, moving on. I'm glad they were still around because they're my
failed
favourite.
maths, Noah. I still think 1 + 1 = window. So whatever. 1 + 1 does equal window, Ben. Amazing Race will be heard from again in a second. Big Brother Oz continued. You're going to hear a lot of Big Brother Amazing Race, Big Brother Amazing Race in the month of September before Someone Else starts. Again, I'm just going to shut up and play clips from our next Big Brother Oz episode.
She just introduced she's like, welcome to Big Brother, and then everyone just starts dancing and there's confetti. It must be so ridiculous for people that have only watched Big Brother US and have just picked up on this season. They probably turned it on and are like, what am I watching? It was hilarious.
So Julie Chen doesn't do that in America, I'm guessing.
No, she's called the Chen bot here because she's so robotic.
Amazing Race continued as we saw the introduction of the Grant Bowler jumper. If you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch Season 3 of The Amazing Race Australia, but it's time to hear from the glory that is Grant Bowler's jumper. bloody, fucking bloody. But yes, Grant's jumper. We see it for the first time, walking through the umbrella market, and I've got to get me one of those. Alex, I know your closet is filled with those jumpers.
Look, they're a bit small now. I'm going to have to go out and get some more, I think. It's been a while. I might need to bring sexy back. But on the whole, I could definitely use a couple more. That umbrella challenge looked easy when you saw them just take a few shots of it, and then suddenly you saw how big it was. You're like, wow.
I love that challenge. It was so funny. Ashley and Jared doing that challenge. That was classic.
3,000.
And then you cut to the old Portuguese lady going, oh, not 3,000, who believe me?
Those trolling grannies was the highlight. That was almost better than Grant's jumper. They trolled Ashley and Jared the number of umbrellas.
I love it when he writes 3,000, the guy just cracks up laughing. He's like, all right, where's the bloody comedian who fucking told me to do this? You'll hear from Jared very soon on this episode. Again, if you're an Amazing Race fan, you'll get that. Now, you heard from me just a few moments ago saying our Someone Del Sur preview episode was a record breaker, the longest episode that we'd ever done. We broke that record within a couple of weeks. We had our very first listener questions episode where we opened it up. We got you to send us in any question that you wanted, and the episode itself came in at a whopping 4 hours, 40 minutes, and 8 seconds. That's right. 4 hours, 40 minutes and 8 seconds. And there were parts of that I feel we are still waiting for people out there to get back to us on. Same with our Someone Del Sur preview episode. We did ask a lot of people to send us in things. Anyway, I'm not going to get over that. But as I just said, we got you to send in any questions. You sent in any questions, including some very questionable questions, pardon the pun. And again, similar to what I said earlier about the Cagayan Oz Camp, this may offend some people, particularly if you haven't heard the list of questions episode. You might not want to after you hear this question, but there were actually decent questions asked. This was one of the lesser decent ones. I'm just going to be quiet now and make your own minds up at this following clip. Mike Ock.
What? How do you say that?
Mr. Ock. So that's Mike Ock. He asked some very...
Michael. It's Michael to you.
Michael Ock.
Michael Ocken
says, how large are your penises? Have the males of this podcast ever put their genitals through their legs and closed their legs together to see what their crotches might look like if they were women? What's the minimum amount of money for which each of the other Ozlets would floss with Ben's pubes?
Any money, I'm poor.
That's a shit.
Is there any other podcast that gets these questions? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, Rob has a podcast that hasn't put up with this shit.
Does Mario Lanza get questions about flossing?
No. He invented the questions about. After that, I feel we need to take a change of pace, go back to a Big Brother Oz episode. We had a wide variety of former Big Brother housemates appear on our show throughout the couple of months that we were on air, including Season 9 favourite Michael Beveridge. Let's hear a snippet from the Bev Man.
Well, it was somewhat vanilla, maybe a little bit of chocolate in there, maybe even a Neapolitan, who knows. But we weren't too out there, we were just your general sort of likeable
I
guys.
just want to clarify, I've never heard anybody call him as the Bev Man, so apologies, Michael, if you are listening. Our big guest continued for Big Brother, however, as a Tasmanian icon joined us for one of her 2 appearances throughout the season. Regina Bird, winner of the 3rd season of Big Brother Australia, still classified as the most popular housemate to ever have played Big Brother in Australia. As I said, a Tassie icon. Let's hear from Reggie.
When I first saw her go in on the night, I swear I was sitting there going, oh, please, really? Oh, my God, this can't be happening. And as I've got to watch her, she's a bit of a oh, what can I say?
Spit your mind, Reggie, come on.
Oh, dear, yeah. Oh, look, she's got a nice body and that. I mean, yeah, she's a bit of a bimbo, I suppose.
Yeah, she turned out to be one. Sky. Ugh. All right, moving on to Amazing Race coverage, and often on our Amazing Race episodes, we spend a good portion just ripping shit into Channel 7. It was fun, and it was easily done, and, you know, for the most part, we were kept waiting around for the Amazing Race, because we had to watch the bloody X Factor, because it was always so bloody late. So, here's a classic part of an Amazing Race Oz episode, in which we just like to bag out Channel 7 and the X Factor.
Yeah, plus she talked about not choosing anyone for about 10 minutes.
Exactly! Like, she's there going, oh, I can't decide, so I'm not going to choose anyone. And that was it. Anyway.
Danny, get a real job. All she does is, like, she is the ultimate judge on every... Come on, Danny. Just because you're the lesser-known sister.
Danny loves me. She told me. I've got it written down. It says, love Danny Minogue.
Did she take 10 minutes before she told you that?
You have to ask my mum. You'd have to ask my mum, because she thought it was Kylie Minogue. We did continue talking about Survivor, believe it or not, in the month of September, as we brought you an interview with Jervis Peterson. His first interview since he'd played again on Blood vs. Water. There was a bit of a secret that we tried to get out of Jervis. He wouldn't tell us the secret, though. But let's hear a bit of a snippet from the Jervis Peterson Blood vs. Water interview. On screen, it's not revealed who you voted for, but who did you vote for in that first vote out?
Man, that's the best kept secret.
You're pulling a John on me, are you? John refuses to answer this too.
That's the best kept secret. Nobody knows. Let's keep it that way.
You and John have got this secret pact.
Look, I may play it again. Candace may be out there. Who knows? I can't have Candace mad at me. Candace holds a grudge, man. I can't have her mad at me. No way. Keeping that secret.
Jervis would join us for a Psalm 1 Del Sur episode recap, as would this next guest. Pete Jakowski from the Philippines joined us for his first ever time on this show. Let's hear a snippet of the Pete Jakowski interview.
And when I told them, hey guys, it was me, they're like, you can't do stuff like that without letting us know first, because we want to get it on film. I'm like, all right, I guess next time you'll know. But not if it's like a whim's decision, you know? Like, it can't be like, hey guys, look over here.
Our Big Brother coverage then continued as we got deeper and deeper into this year's season of Big Brother Australia. And the love of Priya was something that became a staple throughout the season. Priya would join us for an interview after the season. And, of course, on our Christmas episode, we will hear from both of those a little later on in this episode. But let's just hear a little bit of the Priya love.
I just a quick Priya while I've got her on the mind. I love that one where Gemma starts that fight with her, and she walks back out of the room and she's like, "Oh, I went to get a shawl, and I came out with a jacket and an argument," or something like that.
Yes, I did think that was great.
I love that quote from Priya. I love Priya. Can I just point that out again? Priya's still probably my favourite, so you know she's not going to win.
No, enjoy her while she lasts.
Yes.
Well, we had to. She didn't win, but all hail praises. Our Big Brother coverage then continued on further. We were doing 2 episodes a week, folks, just to clarify that. We had 2012 winner and one of my favourite players of all time, Ben Norris, the only man or person really in any reality show that I have rooted for from the start who has gone on to win. So he holds a special place in my heart. He joined us every single week to talk about the happenings in the Big Brother house, direct from the Gold Coast, talked about interviewing the contestants and everything else in between. And Kristen, who wasn't a big Ben fan going into this this season and getting to know him a little bit, turned into a bit of a Ben fan, particularly when it came to him agreeing with Kristen's opinions and Ben going against my opinions.
It was hard to watch.
I can see Kristen on cam right now, Ben. She's nodding and smiling and pretty much say, in your face, Ben, your opinions suck, as in me.
Ben's my new favorite ex-housemate.
You know what? The other day, this person wrote to me and said, Ben, I've been following you on social media and I'm in the media, like, talking about it. They're like, you know, you seem like a really nice person, but my biggest concern is that you just want people to like you, so you'll say things just to make people like you. And I was like, no, I don't. I say things all the time because they're my feelings right then, and most of the time in my life they've been the wrong opinion. But that's all I can do. So I'm not trying to warm people up. This is the way I've always...
Well, clearly, Ben, because you were my favourite, and I hate your guts now, man. Come on. Suck up to me, not to the Americans. Someone else started. That meant our Oztopsies and episode recaps started. And the Oztopsy, the first one, was all about monkeys, apparently. Howler monkeys and Baylor. Let's hear a little bit of conversation relating to both those topics. Jared, did you finally get our monkey references that we were kind of teasing you with before?
Yeah, it completely lived up to the expectations that I built up in my mind, so thanks for that.
Of monkeys.
I just love how it was like a monkey nest.
Yes, but like if you watch that
with the monkeys.
But Baylor like literally shat herself when she looked up and she was like it's a monkey.
How many monkey shots did they need through the whole 2 hours?
Our Salmandel Sir episode recaps were unique in that every single one was a dual recap. We got 2 former contestants each week on the line to discuss the episode together, and at the end we actually got 4 people on, but that's coming up for you very, very shortly. We kicked it off with a blood vs. water pairing. The first 3 weeks actually were blood vs. water pairings, our first of which were Brad and Monica Culpepper. Let's hear the Culpeppers' take on episode 1 of San Wandel Sir.
Go under the radar, and maybe Baylor is so relieved that it wasn't her who went home that she won't really want to draw any more attention to herself, and it'll just kind of be swept under the rug.
She'll come back and she'll go, who voted my name? Oh, I was Nadia.
Right, exactly. Like if it's smart, Brad, just blame it on Nadia.
It was not. I saw it.
It was nobody here.
She whispered that to me right before I voted off her.
But I told her, no way was I voting you off. Smart, Brad.
Our Amazing Race Australia vs New Zealand podcast came to a close in the month of September, just as the season did. Well, just the recap ones. We'd have a few more interviews to come your way, and you'll hear from them very, very shortly. But we absolutely love the finale. We talked about it a lot. We yelled about it a lot, particularly over one Grant Bowler moment. And warning, the following clip contains yelling. And we get them running along the wharf. We get all the teams cheering. And what happens at this point? Come on, Noah.
You team number 1!
I just love the fact that when he does it, there's like this massive pause. It's not just like they jump on the back. You're team number 1! It's like, guys, you're team number 1!
And his face just like right up in their face. He was lit up so brightly. Like, oh my god, Grant.
Grant knew that the ratings weren't going to be good and it was his last chance to do that, so he just went all out.
Saving up all these. Jared and Ashley, you are team number 1. Congratulations. You're saving that all up for this finale. You're team number 1!
Yes. Our Big Brother coverage also continued as we spoke to only the second, well, one of only 2 Tasmanian Big Brother housemates in the history of Big Brother Australia. A person I went to school with, funnily enough. Laura Clare joined us. Let's hear a little bit of the Laura Clare interview.
She was like this deep South accent, and I said, yeah, and she said, oh, I was just watching your series with my daughter.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I have had, right after Big Brother, I actually went backpacking in Europe as well, and you know, a few people there had sort of recognised me off Big Brother as well.
September closed with something very different. Now, throughout our Amazing Race Australia vs New Zealand episodes, we like to bag out a certain show that was on TV at the time called Bringing Sexy Back, a rubbish show that was on Australian TV about making over
people who were slightly overweight to what they used to look like by making them lose weight and giving them a makeover. It was rubbish. We bagged it out. There were ads constantly on our TV screens during The Amazing Race. We put a challenge out there to our listeners that if we were to reach 50 likes or ratings on iTunes, we would sit down and do a special episode on bringing sexy back. We got to 50 ratings on iTunes. We held our promise. And basically, we chose an episode randomly online of bringing sexy back and did some commentary of it by watching it for the very first time. Noah and myself did it, and there was a challenge that involved that week's contestant, Paula, to sit down on chairs in a theatre and then stand up. Sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up. And as you can tell by the following clip, Noah and myself found it slightly amusing.
Oh, what, you gonna, what, sit down on chair? What the fuck?
It's ridiculous. That's exercise. Sitting down on multiple chairs. I think we're about to lose Noah.
What? What is she doing?
She's in a world of pain, Noah. She's in a world of pain.
Oh my god.
Hilarious. I couldn't even tell you what number episode it was to watch it. But funny fact, if you didn't know, Paula, the subject of that episode, who lost the weight and looked fantastic, she actually tracked down that episode and listened to it and sent us an email saying that she laughed a lot and liked the episode. So we spent a lot of the episode bagging her out, but I think in the end we were bagging the TV show out and not Paula. So Paula, if you're listening to this and become a fan of Survivor Oz after that, thank you and welcome aboard. As we moved into the last quarter of the year, a very busy last 3 months were upon us, and you would have noticed that at the end of September I didn't actually plug our website or anything else that I had every 3 or so months, so I'll wait to the end of the episode here to just keep you away from that for once. But as we continued into October, we had a very busy month of Amazing Race US podcast. We continued on our Amazing Race coverage, but this time to cover the 25th, the silver anniversary of the American version of the Amazing Race. And it wasn't myself who hosted it. It was actually Ozlet Noah who took the reins and hosted that. We will hear some highlights from the month of Amazing Race US episodes in just a moment. But it was a very busy month for Big Brother Oz. We had a whopping 9 episodes of Big Brother Oz in this month, and rather than just play individual snippets for you over the course of October, we thought we would put the best bits of the show together to a bit of music and hear a highlights package of the best bits of Big Brother Oz for the month of October. Let's hear that now.
Yeah, this is true. Although I did finish listening to the podcast last week, you did go on a bit after I'd finished, and it was actually very interesting. So I think you don't really need me. I can just sit here at home and listen.
Well, we appreciate knowing that we've got a listener, Ben, so thank you for...
The one. And she doesn't even like me, so that's great.
I like you more now.
Okay, great.
Me and Tahan used to always say to each other, we can win the game even if we're nominated every single week. And for me, I actually liked being nominated because I knew it was more airtime. I knew that the storylines then, they'd focus them around you. On eviction nights, you'd have, why should Tim stay in the house? Like, I think that's sort of the strategy of the real strategy I kind of got behind was that not worrying whether I was up for eviction, not worrying what the housemates thought of me. It's what Australia thinks that matters, and if I have Australia on my side, I'll be sweet.
He's very clever, he's very interesting, and I want him to be my friend. When he comes out, I'm going to be like, me? Be my friend?
Look at my shirt, look at my fake beard. We are kindred spirits.
Yeah, he'll run away screaming. He'll see me wearing the fake beard and shirt, and he'll be like, oh my god, who the hell is that?
How big is it?
Don't go that part, Alfie. Come on.
Is he a good kisser? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah, let's go with that question. That sounds a lot more civil.
What was he going to say?
Alex?
Nothing.
Alex? I'm a bit disturbed.
Oh, yes, it is.
Thank you so much for having me. And actual fact, I'm also a cameo for this show as a house matron this year because over the last week, I don't know if you've read online, people are saying that I look like Sandra.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but wow, that's a very weird comparison.
Yeah.
You don't go on Big Brother to fade into the background, once you leave. I think everyone who goes in the show is a slight narcissist, wants to be wants a job in the media or wants that. I don't think you ever go on that show without wanting that sort of that level of fame and what's the word I'm searching for? Level of fame and notoriety.
So she leant over and did the penetrating signal and was like, strategy, Dave. And I'm like, it was like watching a cat all of a sudden go through heat. You're like, whoa, no, nobody knows about this. Nobody wants to see it.
Wow. Priya's on 10 mentions an hour, and she's still number one, so go us. So, Thursday, because we should go over this because there's a few happenings this week that we obviously need to get to.
Yes.
It's great when we don't have guests on, we just have to rabbit on about this.
Basically, everyone wants to see another Shrek movie, and Lena and Tom, that look like Shrek and Fiona, welcome to the program. I think they'll do a great job, and let's face it, Mike Myers' time is over. Everyone loves Cameron Diaz. I think Fiona will stay. She looks lovely. I mean, she looks like a cross between, Jennifer Aniston and Heyday Friends with that haircut and Fiona from Shrek. And I think, what great combination. Give her the money.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. That's Ben Norris, 2012 winner of Big Brother, and we'll have more highlights of Big Brother Oz coming your way in November's highlights very, very shortly. As I mentioned, of course, before, though, the Amazing Race Oz continued with our coverage of the 25th season. Our first look at the US version of the Amazing Race, I should say. And as I mentioned, of course, Noah Groves sat down and hosted this version of our podcast. So let's hear highlights of the month of Amazing Race US podcast, The Amazing Race Oz, as hosted by Noah Groves.
Thanks. Hey, leave Phil alone.
No, it was cool. I was trying, because they mentioned there was there are some past contestants in the audience. But they just kind of filmed everyone in the audience. They didn't really zoom in on anyone. So, who the fuck are they? Are all of them? I thought all of them were, all the past contestants. I was looking for Nadia and Natalie, so I was like, what the fuck?
That would have been cool.
You missed the one that the Phil we're seeing now was actually traveling back in time from season 32 to film this episode.
Did you know that Phil Craven is a pioneer in time travel?
There's a legend Phil hosting Survivor.
His friends include Winston Churchill and the Pearly King and Queen.
Keith certainly thought it was real. He was freaking out, like, oh, look at that thing, oh! Everywhere they went. And every other team comes in and like, oh, okay, look, there's a skeleton there. And Keith's freaking out. I mean, my wife was watching this with me, and we noticed Keith freaking out. I'm like, all right, Keith, yeah, he's a bit of a wimp there. And then as everybody else is treating it normal, I'm like, you notice how Keith's the only one freaking out? And my wife turns to me and is like, well, that's the one thing we didn't see on Survivor. Keith actually has lady bits.
Keith, you fucking suck. You call yourself a jet.
I want to cook my fucking paellas.
I'm just glad we didn't have to see them spinning the...
Oh God, go away, James Toad. Jared doesn't want to do it. He said no.
It's every time that Rossi says something, there's a Moroccan calling.
Jared, are you still here?
James Tobin just won't leave him alone. Survivor coverage, of course, continued in October. We did do Amazon commentaries. We completed the Amazon, and that, of course, meant we would eventually move into the Pearl Islands. That would come in November. But, yes, we did 8 Amazon commentaries, and we're not going to play any highlights as we didn't have any Amazon guests with us throughout those. So if you wish to hear our somewhat unique commentary of the 6th season of Survivor, you can download them via our website. One big moment, though, for the month of October, of course, was the one and only exit interviews that we had the privilege of finally being able to do. We stepped into the big time of Survivor coverage, and each week we were granted permission to do an exit interview with the previous week's eliminated contestant. Now, we had the distinction of doing our exit interviews pretty much a week after the episode, which I suppose gave us a little bit of a disadvantage, given that by the time we did the exit interview, the new episode was the next day. However, we ran with it, and we started off, of course, with the first boot from Survivor Someone Del Sur, Nadia Anderson. Let's hear a bit of a snippet from the Nadia Anderson exit interview. John Rocker.
He's actually not bad, but he's also an idiot, I would say.
I had a feeling you might say a few of those along the way here. Jacqueline.
She's hopeless. I'm just sure she's hopeless.
Dale.
A dumb nut, a fool.
And, well, I think we need to go to Baylor. I'm worried now for poor Baylor.
Oh my God, she's just lost in space. I can't help her. She's like in orbit half the time.
Short-lived word association that we tried out on a few of our exit interviews. You'll hear more exit interviews very, very shortly. We did also get the opportunity to interview some contestants from The Amazing Race Australia vs New Zealand, starting off with Kit and Jissy O'Brien, very popular pairing who ended up finishing that season in 5th place. Let's hear a snippet of our Kit and Jissy interview.
Well, actually, what it doesn't show, another cool Grant story, if you want one.
Absolutely. We always want Grant stories.
Awesome. Well, there's a few. But in Portugal, because cats stunk like fish, and that was Portugal, eh?
Yeah.
I'd told her that a few times. And she ended up joining Grant's team.
So at the mat, you wouldn't let me stand next to you because the wind.
I didn't want you next to me because the wind was hurting my nostrils.
So I joined Grant's team.
So you went and stood next to Grant, and I felt a little alone, but Grant was happy to have
Quite happy to have me.
Grant and the other dude on the other side with a giant sword.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was so that was quite cool. I was dumped for a bit.
Grant, actually.
Yeah, you would have. Well, it's because everything was first class.
Yeah, true.
Our Oztopsies for Someone Del Sur continued, our second one to be precise, and we love Someone Del Sur for the fact that it had a lot of golden Jeff Probst moments and random parts that we loved about our favourite host of Survivor. Let's hear a highlight from our Oztopsy number 2 for Someone Del Sur. Flint situation, John losing the Flint. We get a fantastic reference to Jatia. This is like the most randomest thing. Like, this is almost like a Jeff Probst, Kelly Wigglesworth moment from last season. And can I just point out, sorry, Noah, you lose. No, Eve Rojas. It was Jatia who was mentioned.
Yeah, we lost the Flint like Eve Rojas did on day 4 of Survivor Big Brother.
But like, well, it's like, oh, I'm feeling like Jatia right now. I'm going to dump the rice. And everyone's just like laughing, like, ha 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 ha, Jatia reference. Our episode recaps also continued. As I said before, first 3 episode recaps were with blood versus water pairings. We had the Culpeppers. It was time to hear from the Codys. John and Candice Cody joined us to talk about that week's episode. And we got a lovely bit of Cody bickering on that week's recap.
We had Jeremy on our team. And within the first couple of minutes, and he was one of the people that we kind of selected early because he seemed pretty even-keeled his intro and everything. And then within a couple of minutes of the show, I was like, oh my God, I was totally regretting that
No,
draft.
that's not true. I didn't think he looked good in his intro because he said, I've been trying to get on Survivor for the past 10 years. And
But I
now
thought that
I'm
meant that he
finally
wasn't-
on. And I'm
I
thinking,
thought that meant he
what
wasn't
is that?
crazy enough, and he was more an even-keeled guy. Anyway,
If
regardless,
you've been trying to get on
she
Survivor
says all
for
she
10
wants.
years and you just now got on, there's something going
Not
on.
everybody-
There's a problem.
Not everybody can get on.
I don't
there.
want you in my alliance.
Not everybody gets on their first time around. Okay, so let's just not throw stones.
Our exit interviews then continued with Val Collins. Everybody's, well, I shouldn't say everybody's, a lot of people's prediction to win the season, including my own, and I had to apologise to her because I believed it was me who ended up jinxing her from winning that season. You can blame me for that because my picks always go home, they never win, so... So I'm sorry for that, Val.
Jinxed me.
Yes, I did. Episode recaps also continued with, once again, blood versus water pairings. We had the Bonhams this week, Rupert and Laura Bonham, and a lot of long-term listeners to this show, commentaries and everything else in between would know our lovely obsession with Rupert and his "Who the hell voted for me?" line from Pearl Islands. I had to somehow turn this into something to do with Survivor Oz when we had Rupert on the line. This is the result.
Oh my gosh!
Who out there isn't listening to Survivor Oz? Who the hell isn't listening to Survivor Oz?
Oh, that is my new message tone right now. That is going on my phone.
Okay, good.
Life has just been made. Still stand by that fact. That was one of the best moments on Survivor Oz in all of 2014. Oz Topsies continued, and our love with Jeff Probst and his moments throughout this season also continued. Let's hear a snippet from that week's episode. The immunity challenge, just before it's about to start, we get Jeff going, all right! Like, it's this real, like, growl to his voice. It wasn't just like, all right, Survivors. He was like, all right.
Like Borat. Imagine Borat.
Yeah, very nice. And then I loved Jeff. Like when, you know, Natalie, nearly went the Nadia route, there's big fights happening. They sort of cut to Jeff. Jeff's like, yep. And then it stops and just stops suddenly. And then Jeff is just like, all right. Like, it was just this like, dot. All right, let's immunity.
Just tell that he's just thinking this is awesome.
He's
I
like,
love this fight.
ratings. Big name in John Rocker was eliminated that month of Survivor Someone Del Sur. He of course joined us for an exit interview, our longest exit interview. John wanted to ask me the questions, and including whereabouts I was from in Tasmania, and sharing about his experiences with some Aussie baseball players.
Right, so what part of Australia are you in?
I'm in Hobart in Tasmania. Not sure if you've heard of that.
Oh yeah, well I know where Tasmania is, but I played with a number of Aussies. I played baseball with a number of Aussies. Glenn Williams, Ben Hutting, Damian Moss, some still to this day, some of my dear friends. Love playing with the Aussie guys.
Amazing Race Australia episodes in terms of interviews continued, as well as we spoke to Jared and Ashley Jende, of course, two big characters. They finished third on the season and big cult fans of, well, we were big cult fans of theirs throughout the season, even though a lot of Australia didn't really like them. But let's hear a little bit of Jared and Ash for you now.
Somebody, mate, that was terrible.
Do you remember all the words?
Secom evento. Oh no, mate, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, look, Noah's clapping you. Well done. What was where was your favourite place that you visited and your least favourite place that you visited?
Mate, I'll tell you this. Wasn't not the best place. We came seventh, but the best leg, the most fun leg, I still say was Cambodia, just because there was so many teams, so much happened. You were buzzing because all the teams were racing on tuk-tuks around Cambodia with each other.
I'd say my favourite leg was St. Petersburg. I thought St. Petersburg was a really fun leg, like having the intersection and, you know, we all arrived on different flights and all that sort of stuff. So it was I felt like Jared says he felt like he was really racing in Cambodia. I felt like I was really racing in St. Petersburg.
And Namibia. Namibia was just, mate, beautiful. You get
Namibia, not Namibia.
Bloody Ash and Jared, bloody pronunciations. We love them both, and hopefully we can get them on the show in some capacity in the future. Our Oz Topsies continued for the fourth episode. There was a little bit of something between Alec and Baylor that week, and I thought it was flirting, but James shut me down pretty much, in my opinion.
Oh, if that's flirting, then I don't know what flirting is. Like, it seemed like, I don't know, it just seems just very brotherly sisterly, like, and they just didn't seem, and Alec came across as a bit of a twat, but I don't know whether they were doing that because Drew was getting such a horrendous edit, but no, I think Baylor will be his demise, I think.
Clearly, I don't even know what flirting is then.
Still don't to this day. Kim Spradlin and Troy Zan Robertson from One World joined us that week to recap Survivor. Let's hear their thoughts on that week's episode.
Even though he's got kind of the surfer bro, we're doing this and we're finally won. And, yeah, man. I mean, he still seems like he's somewhat has an idea.
Yeah, I think too, like, it's never a good idea in Survivor. Like, even this whole thing with Baylor, where he's like, I'm going to call her out on it every single time. And it's like, maybe get a different focus if you're trying to go far in the game than just, like, picking on someone. Like, that just seems super immature to me.
Now, Drew Christie was eliminated next from Someone Del Sur. We got him on the show. Now, Drew, very interesting person. Not the smartest Survivor player we've ever seen. Let's just put that nicely. And one of the last times we ever did the word association was with Drew, and you can probably find out why from the answers that he gave us.
Fireman.
Reed.
Fairy.
Julie.
Survivor Barbie.
John.
The Hulk.
Keith.
No, for real though. Did you see John Mish beat John Rocker in that one challenge?
We did, and the John v. John.
That was one of the most incredible things I witnessed when I was on Survivor.
Yes.
Was that battle?
Yes,
because it was a best of 3 battle.
Right.
So they only showed the one, but it was best of 3, and I'm telling you, it was a dogfight.
Drew Christie, ladies and gentlemen. We had some Survivor interviews that month as well, pretty big ones. Jeremiah Wood from Cagayan was on the show, and I needed to find out from Jeremiah, because we all know Jeremiah is a male model, and given that I am not a male model, I wanted to find out from him if it really is as easy picking up women on the basis of him being a male model as it perhaps seems like it would be.
As far as like harder, as far as
is it harder to pick up women? Please don't tell me it's that easy as a male model to actually pick up women.
It still is hard. There's some girls. Now there are a lot of young girls. Coming out fresh out of high school. A little bit early in college. They see pictures and they just start fawning over them. But you can't go that route, that's too young. So, but it is hard.
Continued the interviews with the winner of the 3rd season of Africa, Ethan Zahn. Of course, we had him on the World Cup episode just before, and he would return for our Christmas episode a little later in the year as well. But the question was raised by a listener about the infamous moment on All Stars with Rupert and his shelter, and Ethan's reaction to it.
Oh my God. So here's the situation with that. I clearly stated this is the worst idea on the face of the planet. Who the hell digs a military bunker on a beach, when the tides wash in and out? I mean, however, Rupert was in a power position. I was the last one on the totem pole. I think Tina was gone at that point, and I was the next one off. And I really wanted to try to make Rupert look bad by making a horrible decision. And so I just went along with it.
The Amazing Race Oz episodes in terms of interviews once again continued with another interview with a pair from the Australia vs New Zealand season, John Gamenda-Charles and Maria Aroeski. And look, it was a fun, entertaining interview from one of my, if not favourite pairing from the season. And when asked about what they did when they got back home, let's just say a restaurant from Portugal was on the agenda for them.
Mate, I got home to London.
London?
Yeah, I went via London and then went via Hong Kong and then straight home to Nando's because I fucking love Nando's. Whole chicken. Mate, I literally got two family fiestas, 2 full chickens, 2 coleslaws and 2 peri-peri chips. Smiles.
Wow, you missed out on Portugal.
Mate, was it peri-peri nice though? It was very, very nice, John. Thank you. It
was very,
hey, mate,
very
you should
nice.
Get it. Guys, John loves his Christmas cracker jokes. You should get him to tell a couple your Christmas cracker jokes, mate, because he's
yes.
funny. Come on, mate, please. All right, where does Saddam Hussein keep the CDs?
Where?
In the rack.
You know.
Tell the antenna one, mate. Tell the antenna one. Oh, God. 2 antennas, got married. The wedding was average, but the reception was awesome. See what I mean?
Wow.
It's Christmas cracker stuff every Christmas.
Those jokes were funny, and I use them a lot in everyday life. Oztopsy that week, a lot of conversation revolved around trading of goods for food and everything else in between. Let's hear a bit of a snippet of that now.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I just want them to go without rice. I know you can't have them starve out there, but I mean, eat some hermit crabs or do some fishing or eat a palm tree. I don't know, find some coconuts.
Eat a palm tree. I can see them just grabbing one.
It's frustrating. It's like, well, you didn't ration it, so deal with the consequences. I don't care if you weren't on that tribe.
What's Mike Scoopin's watching this going, come on, guys. Like, I killed a fucking pig. Like,
Whatever the trade is, I'm sure, like, it's not in my mind, it won't be enough to get the rice.
The month of October was our 3rd birthday. We celebrated, as we do generally every year, by getting our mother of Survivor Oz, Gillian Larson from Gabon, back on the program to talk a little bit about the show, what she's up to, and everything else in between. And Gillian shared a bit of a story about her and her husband and an anniversary that weekend.
You better hurry up. I'm getting older by the day.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
By the way, my husband and I are celebrating our 44th anniversary this weekend.
Congratulations.
So,
44, wow.
4 years, isn't that something? So that's cool.
Coverage of Survivor continued with Amy Cusack and Eliza Orlins joining us for a weekly episode recap of Someone Del Sur. Let's hear a little bit of that now.
Go to the Broadway performers.
Me too, because then I get to hang out with them in New York.
Have you met them yet? Have you tracked them down?
Yeah, I have. I've hung out with them a few times. They're fantastic.
Wow. Are they fans of yours?
Oh, Lizzie, I'm coming to visit you.
I know. Just for Reed and Josh, my feelings are hurt, Aim.
No, shut up. You know I would always come to visit you anyways. But it's like a bonus if I get to see Reed and Josh.
Definitely.
Definitely agree. Our Survivor interviews were also on with Ruth Marie Embler from Panama, joining us for a chat about her time on the show. Let's hear from Ruth Marie.
They are maybe struggling a little bit more because they haven't lived enough of real life to know that real life is harder than Survivor, you know? And so, you know that?
Yes.
So I think that comes into play a lot. I really do. So, anyway, that was kind of scoop. So I did know I was getting voted off, but it still felt horrible.
I was going to say, does that make it feel better? But of course it doesn't, does it? Because, you're playing for $1 million, as you said. You don't want to go.
Yeah, no. So anyway, that was the scoop on that.
Next Survivor interview came in the form of Bryce Johnson from Cagayan, and we spoke to Bryce about sleeping with Morgan and cuddling with her, something that I like to hear a lot about.
Morgan was actually an aggressive cuddler, I would have to say. Definitely. Like, when we would cuddle, if I was, not holding her right, she definitely would, move my arms without me even saying so, to make sure that we were, in the most comfortable position. So Morgan was definitely an aggressive cuddler.
Is she Big Spoon then, I'm guessing, not Little Spoon?
Well, you know what? We had to flop. So, but definitely she was Little Spoon, but at times she wanted to be Big Spoon, too. So, we definitely flip-flopped to Morgan.
Morgan's versatile. That's all men got out of that. We're happy about that.
Yes, Morgan. She's first.
Question number
4. You guys are hilarious.
Someone Del Sur exit interview with Kelly Wentworth also happened that month. Kelly's become a bit of a fan of, we've become a bit of a fan of hers, I should say. She's become a bit of a fan of ours, let's be honest. She appeared on our Christmas episode later in the year as well, and it looks likely that we'll have an interview with her early in 2015 as well. And spoke to Kelly about her blindside. Was it a blindside?
Oh, no. I knew it was either going to be me or Baylor. And I kind of chuckled a little bit when they made it look like a blindside because I'm sitting there thinking, they can only show so much, but there was so much that was not shown, and the viewers did not get to see. And I knew it was either me or Baylor, and I thought there was maybe a 5% chance that John and Jacqueline were going with us. I told my dad before Tribal, I do not feel good. People really won't talk to us, or they'll say 2 or 3 words. I really do think it's me tonight.
Oztopsy that week, every week on the Oztopsies we went through predictions and where we were and points and everything like that. And Noel wasn't having a good time early on with his preseason predictions. He wasn't getting points and was having a bit of a sook about it, let's be honest. And I like to drag it out to tease Noah a little bit each week. And here's his reaction to one of my famous teasing Noah moments. 4th.
Ah!
That was let down too.
That is not even... No.
Rossi gets the point. Oh, what a cock tease I am.
It was lame. It wasn't even funny. No one's laughing.
I am.
Yeah, that was shit.
3 words I hear a lot. That was shit. True story, that as well. Our final recap of the month from Survivor came from somebody you just heard from a few moments ago, Gillian Larson, and the winner of the season she was on, Bob Crowley. And during the interview, I could see both Bob and Gillian on cam, even though in the background I could see somebody crawling behind Gillian, and it kind of got me a little bit intrigued of what was going on. Gillian, who have we got going? You got somebody have you got a kidnapped person there trying to escape in the background? What's going on?
My granddaughter needed some paper out of my office, so she's crawling on the floor so she doesn't get caught in the camera.
Well,
so I point to the camera at her, and she goes, "Oh,
get it off me, Nan!" Wow, sorry, I just all of a sudden thought like you had this like room filled with children that you were just kidnapping or something, and they're just trying to. I don't know what I was saying with that, but anyway, I never know what I'm saying with anything. Let's be honest. But yeah, October was done. Moving into a very busy November. Now, in the month of November, CBS released a little video entitled the Jeffisms Remix. So they got a lot of Jeff's famous sayings, Jeff Probst, of course, famous sayings, and put them to music and made a bit of a remix. It was funny, it was nice, but I thought that they didn't use some of his better Jeffisms. So we decided to put our own version together of it, and here's a snippet of how that turned out.
Texture, it's got great sugar. This is tie-dye, man in the woods. Michael with balls hanging on both sides of his disc. Taco ball, taco ball, taco ball. Wow. Taco ball, taco ball, taco ball. Wow.
Indeed, wow. And of course the full song available on SurvivorOz.com. We started our Pearl Islands commentary in the month of November. We did 8 of those. Again, they're also available via our website. We won't be playing any highlights of those. But we also continued Big Brother Oz coverage. And as a matter of fact, we wrapped it up. We only had one more episode in December, which was more of an interview special. But we wrapped up the coverage because the season wrapped up in November. Let's hear a highlights package of the best bits of Big Brother Oz for the month of November. The month of November, Ben. Thank you. Yes, Kristen?
Yeah, you keep like triggering things in my mind.
You gotta put your keep it in your head up. You're like, hey.
I know, because I keep like getting excited. I remember something because I never remember anything.
Hey guys, hello. Thanks for having me.
It's a massive pleasure, mate. I need to first of all, I have to thank Ben, who's still on the line here. Of course, Ben, you've managed to set this up for us. I mean, are you two like besties now? Is this kind of what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we're like texting all the time.
Wow.
He's got a restraining order on him.
Restraining order on him?
Ben, please sign my check.
Alex, come on. Be on my side here. I know you are.
Knowing how brutal that Australian sun is, I do kind of get where they are coming from. I did find it amusing how Sky made an issue over it, and I kind of think the point of pointing it out was there's nothing else to talk about, so let's talk about the fact she's getting burnt, because there is nothing else to talk about at this point in time.
She's got a very strong cult following, but they just don't seem to vote for her to save. Like, she's very close to being evicted each week.
Well, considering she's an Indian, like there's lots of people that work in Indian call centres and that, and isn't that what nearly all the call centres are in India? You think they'd be voting
Pretty
for
much, yes.
Hello.
They should connect the dots there and have that Reggie.
Yeah.
I can see. There you go. That's why they're saving it to the end of the season so that they can all vote for her to win.
Yeah.
Stop calling us while we're eating our dinner, asking about our long distance carrier, and vote for Priya.
Yeah.
Whatever. This is Big Brother Oz. We have. Go
for the record, if you just hear any random profanities, there's nothing to do with this show.
So all of a sudden we hear, fuck off! It's Kristen.
Or you might just hear like a fuck or a god damn it. Like that's just the game.
That just reflects our listeners.
Just ignore me.
So I feel like I need to ask you, Ben, if you given the option, you had to marry, kill, and sleep with Tim Dormer, Estelle, or Ryan Buckingham, who gets what?
Kill myself.
Just straight away, kill myself.
Kill myself. Take myself out of the equation.
That keyword is a little bit easier. Yes, you can say that, but obviously I'm missing her heaps, mate. But what happened was when I got to see her that day and get to kiss her and hug her, that was probably the most precious moment of my life in Big Brother's house. So that was really, really good.
I'm glad he came. You know, he really did make my time in the house. I really liked him. Even though our weird history, and we both knew as soon as he walked in the door, I was like, hi.
I did find it a tad amusing when Ryan's like, you always have to have the last say, Priya. No, I don't. And then they have to finish, and then she goes on for an extra like 30 seconds after Ryan's finished, just to kind of almost justify the point.
I love Priya to bits, but she's kind of like my sister in that regard. That like you say to my sister, like, you've always got to have the last word. No, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't.
Yes, you do. No, I don't. Well, I suppose the question we should ask.
How about Kat deleting Twitter this week? I thought that was a bit
I
outrageous.
didn't even know that. There you go. Some gossip I didn't know, Ben.
I only found out from reading Ben's Twitter. So.
Oh. I must have been reading your Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
What kind of fan are you? What kind of fan are you?
Terrible one, apparently.
Thanks, Kristen.
Do you have any insight on that, like as to what happened there, or?
She never liked Twitter.
Okay.
You know, Twitter wasn't really, her
You
thing.
have to talk on it, don't you?
You know,
You have to communicate on it, so not something she's...
Yeah, well, she's like, today I gave blood, and then someone writes back and says, die, whore, die. You know, like, it's not exactly a balanced relationship. You know? So, like, I can imagine that it's not really working for her, you know? That's not a seesaw. That's like being catapulted into another atmosphere. So, when she deleted her Twitter, I just was like, fair call, lady, move on, donate blood, and do it in your own time. Save a life before you destroy your own. That was my cattiest comment of the season. Yeah.
I think you just made Chris and I lose it right now.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't allowed to really say anything. I didn't know that until yesterday morning at, I think, 8:30 in the morning was when I was allowed to start broaching that particular cameo. But I'd already tweeted that I'd filmed something. So, yeah, look.
You're a rebel, Ben. You're a rebel. Munch of November. That made no sense before what I said. One more Big Brother one, as I said, that we will play for you when we get to our December highlights. Speaking of highlights, the Amazing Race US continued in the month of November. Noah Groves continued to host it fantastically. Let's hear the best bits of the Amazing Race Oz for the month of November.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Rossi, because you came late, you're going to have to perform this episode as Joppy instead.
Is that a speed bump?
You're going to be in character today.
Yeah, that's your speed bump, Rossi. You've got to be jockey. So it's just... Yeah? Yeah.
It had to have been better than when they were all after the go-kart challenge. They're like, you will get a ride with professional race car driver. These people look like professional bowlers. Like, when was the last time they exercised?
Nino Vaccarella.
One of them was like a professional pizza eater or something.
Actually, I'm going to correct myself. Nino Vaccarella, he actually did drive in Formula 1. He only had 4 Grand Prix in 1961, 1962, and 1965. So he's a motor racing legend who drove in 4 Grand Prix, and this was in the 60s when anybody with a bit of cash and a car could race in Formula 1. So, he's not a legend. He's just a random Italian who happened to live there who drove a couple of races for Formula 1. There you go.
But in Sicily, he is a legend.
Yes, he's the god of Sicily. That isn't a mob boss.
He's like the most famous man to ever come from Snug, Noah Grove. He's like a god there.
I was going to take a Brooke and Robbie moment, but then when you mentioned Cillian Neesey at the pit stop, I would have to say before that, when they're running in, and then she tripped over her bag after me. That was just the best moment, because I was so angry already for that to happen. Like, you could just tell she was fuming.
I would love
yelling in the background.
Yeah. Come on, Sharla!
Are they the midgets?
That's why all the Maltese people come to Australia and open... the midgets!
Wasn't there a season where they had, like, little people on it?
One of them was a little person, and one was a medium-sized person.
Okay, well, I didn't mean that to be offensive.
Are they the midgets?
I was laughing at that clip. I didn't mean to offend. I still don't really know who they are. But yeah, a little bit more Amazing Race to come for you in December. Now, you heard before from Jolanda Jones. At that time became officially our longest ever interview. However, in the month of November, our longest ever interview record was broken when we sat down with the ever lovable, the ever controversial, and the ever hilarious Cass McQuillan from Survivor Cagayan. The episode in itself, the interview, went for 2 hours, 27 minutes, and 3 seconds. A massive interview, and not only was it a massive interview, it was one of the funniest interviews, if not the funniest interview that I think I've ever done. It's up there, top 5, top 10 by far. Let's hear a snippet of the Cass McQuillan interview.
So when Jeff Probst asks, would we have ever hooked up? What do I say to him? You mean as friends? And he says, no, in a sexual manner. And I kind of give him the once-over, much like many of you have done to Morgan.
Yes.
And I said, I don't know, how tall are you? He says, what does that have to do with anything? I said, I don't think you meet my height requirement. And at this point, there's a little chuckle in the room. Because here's the most average person being cast for the show, basically challenging Jeff's manhood, right?
Yes.
He says, well, how tall do I have to be? I said, you, 6 feet. He says, well, Tom Cruise isn't 6 feet. I said, I have no interest in Tom Cruise. He says, well, Brad Pitt isn't 6 feet. I said, well, Brad Pitt gets a waiver. And he says, Brad Pitt gets a waiver and I don't? I say, you're no Brad Pitt.
If you haven't listened to it, download it now. It is fantastic, and it's 2.5 hours well spent. Exit interviews continued in the month of November. You heard from Kelly Wentworth before. Dale Wentworth is on now, as a matter of fact. Let's press play and hear a little bit of the Dale Wentworth exit interview.
Yeah, there was, Baylor and Missy couldn't keep track of the actual count, but there could have been quite a few that I resembled, I guess. So, but we'll leave it at that.
Yes. I mean, good exit interview. Dale seems like a nice guy. The Oztopsies continued for November. Episode 7, I believe, was next. Let's hear the highlight clip of that now, Benjamin.
You know, as much as I hate to quit, I have to say I'm on that side of the, I'm kind of rooting for Wes, Keith, Josh Reed, and Alec, I guess, but not particularly
Team
Alec.
Josh, hashtag Team Josh.
Yeah, well, I miss the hashtags too because I watch them online on CBS.com and they don't have them on there, so I missed the hashtags.
I made that one. We haven't had it yet, but I wouldn't surprise me if they keep pulling up this rivalry.
I thought there might have been a hashtag Team Josh, Team Jeremy, or something.
Hashtag awkward. Our recaps continued with RC Saintama from Philippines, a good friend, and her father Craig, the Nearly contestant, who very much should have been on Blood vs. Water with RC. Let's hear from both of them.
Yeah. And now they have like an asterisk next to it, but doesn't mean anything.
Nice.
Speaking of records, can I brag for a second?
Please do.
My daddy is the world winner. What is it, Daddy? What is the actual title? You're the winner of men's 200 freestyle 60 to 65 in the entire world. He's the fastest.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
RC and I went to the Masters World Swimming Championships up in Montreal. There were 90 countries there, 6,000 swimmers.
Wow.
So enjoyed it as a success. So,
congratulations.
High blood pressure be damned. Trust me, I don't have high blood pressure.
The exit interview with Julie McGee happened in November. A very much talked about contestant, considering she quit the game. Let's hear a little bit of Julie's exit interview now.
Yeah, the dust will always settle at some point. But I have found, how many days, 5 days later, that I really have quite a few more supporters than bashers. At first there were a lot of haters kind of coming out of the woodwork and saying this and that, but I've just seen more people that really connected with me on the show and connected with my personality and really enjoyed watching me and said maybe I could have done it different, but that was you out there, not me.
Oztopsy that happened next involved some references to South Park. That's all I'll say. I tell you one thing, a few things. Yeah, I love the fact Noah tweeted out, South Park, taco flavored kisses, taco. I feel like I need to draw that on my hand. I did draw it on my hand for that episode, just for those playing at home. Next recap was with Ben really needs to learn how to speak at the end of this best of episode, apparently it seems. Abby Marie Gomez and Pete Yukowski from the Philippines. And it seemed as though I got to finally speak my mind to both of them and not do what everybody thinks I do and suck up. Great to have you here, and I really hope you're enjoying.
You're kissing Pete's ass a little too much now.
I am, aren't I? Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
It's always Pete. What about Abby?
All right. Well, how about for once I don't suck up? Pete, get fucked. I hate you on this show. Fuck off. And Abby, never come back. Just piss off. All right.
Very nice.
Is that better? Is that better, Abby?
Yes, that's probably.
I'm gonna bring RC back. She was better than both of you. So. Oh, them's fighting words. Josh Camfield was eliminated from Survivor Someone Del Sur. Joined us for an exit interview, and a very entertaining exit interview. Let's hear from the man right now.
You know, all the guys are just really rude to me, and they never talk to me. And what they didn't show last week is right after that, I called Jacqueline out on that. And I went, Jacqueline, what are you talking about? I was like, are you saying that I haven't been talking with you about strategy and being nice to you? And she goes, oh, well, everyone except Josh. And I was like, well, and of course, and now you're going to vote me out.
Yes.
So I was like, it was a little bit shocking to see John and Jacqueline switch like that. I think, Wes and Alec weren't being the nicest, and they need to, especially Alec, just needs to watch his mouth. But I think Jacqueline also overreacted.
You'll hear from Josh a little bit later on in this episode when it comes to our Christmas episode. Our Amazing Race Australia interviews also continued in November. Christy Orr and Aston Garrett, two of the most memorable contestants from the season, despite the fact that they were eliminated fairly early, and they had an interesting idea for their own version of the Amazing Race.
The other thing that we're going to do, well, I don't know about Aston, but I'm going to make a television series called The Amazing Racist. It's going to be really racist people running around the world, fucking off everyone.
I'd watch that.
Amazing Racist.
Well, you can get someone. I'm not saying that Jared is racist, but I mean every single country they went to, and they're like, oh, I don't bloody speak English.
Yeah. Must get Jared on the show.
Hey, so I've also been doing a bit of stand-up comedy as well. And if I come to Aussie, I'll let you know. Just in the off chance,
please do.
Any of your listeners,
we will. If they don't, we will come and watch, Christy. We will.
I will definitely go to Melbourne. Melbourne. I'll definitely go to Melbourne. I don't know if I'll have the liquid capital, as it were, to go to a lot of places, but I'll let you know if I do. And
if you go to Melbourne, it's a $40 flight down to Hobart. It takes 50 minutes. You'll be right.
I'll be right.
You'll be right.
Stay with
got at least two people coming to watch.
Yeah, two people. We'll buy the tickets for it. We'll buy all the tickets for you. It looks like you sold it.
I'll do a Kickstarter, and people can.
You can sleep on our couches. There you go. You don't even have to pay for accommodation.
There you go. You can clean off any debris that might be in there.
Yes, it's just sitting there all the time. So.
Do you provide a sleeping bag as well?
Of course, why not? We'll even.
That's going a bit far. We don't have them in Hobart.
You can save Christy $10 on no luggage fees.
Well, look. I live in the actual city. Noah lives in bumfuck nowhere, so we have sleeping bags here.
Yeah, not down here.
Do they have good fish and chips in Bumfuck Nowhere?
No.
Did you get a deep fried tarantula?
Well, you could actually. I reckon you got a Korean grocer there, so I don't know what they cook there, but.
Well, I'd love to meet. I've been watching the boat.
Ben, it sounds like you should be on The Amazing Race.
I probably should be.
Well worth a listen to, even if you're not a fan of The Amazing Race. Our Oztopsies continued towards the end of the month of November, and listeners to our Oztopsies would remember at the end of that season of Someone Del Sur, I discovered a book that I had written when I was in grade 3. The book itself was called The Princess Who Lost Her Nose, and it was a very interesting story from the mind of 9-year-old Ben Waterworth, and each week I read a little snippet from it until we finally concluded it, and you'll hear a lot of highlights, I feel, from these Oztopsies based on these stories. So let's hear the first bit of that now. One day, a princess called PR Karen, it's meant to be Princess Karen, was walking along when she tripped.
Relations, Karen.
When she tripped and she saw a fuzzy thing moving around. Full stop. Chapter 2. That's a chapter. So, look, I'll keep you in suspense to see what happens to PR Karen.
I have to read a chapter.
It's going to be like an ongoing serial. Yeah.
I know you're going to love the rest of that story if you hear more of it throughout this episode. Joel Klug and Jervis Peterson, both from Borneo, of course, Jervis Return of Blood vs. Water, returned to our show to do an episode recap of Someone Del Sur. There was a little bit of confusion going on throughout the episode. I'd honestly thought that Jervis had hung up on me after a listener question, but he hadn't. Let's hear his reaction to when he finally got back on the line.
You get all sensitive and hang up right away?
Yeah, I was thinking, did Ori offend you, Jervis? You hung up there, but...
No, it was Joel that offended me, not you, Ben.
Damn it, Joel, don't offend our guests.
That'll happen.
Yelling at my guests a lot this month. Jeremy Collins was my personal favourite on Someone Del Sur. Thought he was in the box seat to win. He was blindsided in one of the most shocking blindsides I've ever seen in the history of Survivor. He came on for an exit interview. Let's hear his reaction, or his answer, I should say, to a listed question in regards to his feelings about Missy.
I always liked Missy. I still like Missy. I just think she just makes bad decisions with men. I mean, everyone knows she was married a few times, and she chose John over me, and there was no reason to do it. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. I would like to know why she did it, but, I can't be mad. This is a game. I'm not gonna stay mad forever, you know what I mean?
Next autopsy was a continuation of the princess who lost her nose. Let's hear a bit more of it now. He pulled out a special stick and knocked her on the head.
Was that for having no nose? That's nice, Doctor.
Oh, God. PR Karen woke up and ran around. Oh, God, she's okay then. She's been knocked on the head twice, got no nose, she can run around all right. And then she ran all the way back to the castle. When she got there, she ran into a night suit. She thought if she put it on, it would cover her nose. Oh, she's smart. Chapter 5.
Girl, public relations, Karen.
The final episode of the month of November came in the form of a Salmon Del Sur recap with our two very dear friends, Rita Verios and Billy Garcia. Now, just a bit of background. This episode actually was recorded at about 5 a.m. in the morning for me. The only time really we could get that we could all basically sit down and record. So it was an interesting time to record, but it was an interesting episode. Also, given the fact that I had both Rita and Billy speaking Spanish, including Rita saying things to me that I like the sound of.
You know what? Be not so much of a talker, and it's interesting. I actually became known as the ear and the listener of my tribe.
How do you say that in Spanish, Rita? The ear and the listener.
Que yo era la oreja.
Beautiful.
La oreja de mi tribu, la que escuchaba a mis compañeros.
Sounds so good when you say it like that.
Muchas gracias, Ben. Muchísimas gracias. Do you like how to say your name in Spanish? Ben?
Ben.
By the way, sí o no, Billy, if I said that in a different way, that actually means come to me.
Oh.
Ben.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Ben aquí. Right? Yeah, you're right.
My full name being Benjamin, how is that said?
Benjamin.
Oh, all right.
Is that even better?
Sounds so much better than Benjamin. So Australian, if you ask me. I always love hearing it said like that. So thanks to Rita and Billy. That was November. One more month of the year to come, and it ended in style. December started with lots of commentaries, I should mention. 7 Pearl Islands commentaries, to be precise, to wrap up that season, and 2 All-Stars commentaries to conclude 2014 with. Again, download them via our website. We won't play highlights for you now, but well worth a listen to. We have a lot of fun recording them, and we will continue to do commentaries into 2015. Our exit interviews did continue, however. West Nail was eliminated and gave an interesting exit interview, including talking about arriving back at Ponderosa and putting on weight in only one night of being there.
11 pounds in one night. The doc says the craziest thing you've ever seen, a half pound an hour. Let's ride.
Wow, that's a unique record to have. Another autopsy happened. More readings of the princess who lost her nose. Akaboo! He shouted and crashed to the ground loudly. PR Karen rushed to the castle and saw the dragon. He looked very fierce. Ooh. Who would win in a fight, a Cyclops or a dragon?
Well, I think Cyclops is the dragon's bitch. So
Dragon. I learned a lot from that episode. Thank you, Noah Groves, for teaching me that. The Amazing Race US 25th season, the silver anniversary season, concluded in the month of December, as did the Amazing Race Oz, hosted by Noah Groves. As we have done so in the last couple of months, let's hear a highlights clip package from the best bits of those episodes.
Minister Waterworth, it's a very good big pleasure to have you on the show. Never had a minister on the show, so...
Bless thyself, Noah. Bless thyself with holy bacon. And just quickly, have you all heard of the Wave House? Where's the Wave House? I don't know where the Wave House is. Shall we go to the Wave House?
I'm in the Wave House at the moment.
The Wave House. Bless thy Wave House. Thank you. I'm glad to be here at the Wave House.
Rosario is not going to be happy.
Rosario's off with Bebe. Looking up
That's the next episode of Keeping Up the Philippines.
Days of Our Philippines.
The bold and the... Forget it. Home and Philippines are the
So
way.
yes, I would have done the building the motorbike one, and
after 2 of these, I've made up my mind. Season 26, no descriptions for any of the detours. Go off completely.
I like it.
I'm a massive fan of this. Like, we bitched about the other changes they're doing. This net positive change. I am totally on board with this because maybe a bit more descriptive titles rather than this or that. Like, at least give them like
A or B,
balls or bikes or something. Right?
What I like when they do it at like the end of each leg, because there was this show, I don't know if anybody here saw it, I watched like 3 episodes.
It's not Siberia, is it?
No. No, it was called Expedition Impossible. And
I love
that.
2 episodes.
Spoiler alert, one team got first place. Pretty much, I think they got first place on every single leg except they got second place in one. How boring is that? Like, no one wants to watch that, and that's why I stopped watching it, because it was so obvious from the beginning how, and I think that is what would happen if they didn't do the equalizing. If that's not a word, what are we calling it?
Yeah, well, just
if it's not a word,
like, whatever.
it is now. Equalize.
Survivor Oz Dictionary, it's a word. Survivor Oz Dictionary is a bloody good dictionary. Go and buy it. Big Brother Oz had 1 episode in the month of December. It was a very special interviews episode. I'll say it around the right way. It involves an interview with Estelle Landy, of course, from season 9, finished 3rd place. Came on to talk a little bit about her time on the show, thoughts on the finale of Big Brother, as well as addressing some controversy with our long-term friend, guest analyst Ben Norris. However, what you're going to hear a clip of right now, though, is her interview with the one and only Priya Malik. We had praised her all season of Big Brother Australia. We finally got her on the show to interview her and find out about her time in the house, and what perfect way to introduce her than by doing this. Priya, welcome to Big Brother Oz!
Hello, thank you for having me, guys. It's an honour.
It's an honour to have you here. It's like I've never interviewed, somebody of such high stature as yourself, Priya. I mean, we're talking to this figure that we've been praying to for like 79 days. It's strange.
I know, it's a divine experience, I'm sure.
How have you found, when you've gotten out of the house, this whole Preeze's social media campaign and everything that's come along with it? Is it a shock? Do you laugh at it? I mean, how do you take it?
Okay, so I got out of the house and the executive producer spoke with me and he was like, you were awesome, la-di-da. And he was like, you've got a cult-like following. So initially he told me that I was a very polarizing personality. Either people really, really loved me or really hated me. And I was like, tell me something I don't know. And then he said, and then he was like, you've got a cult-like following on the outside. And I thought he's just blowing smoke up my ass to make me feel better. Then I met the social media team and the social media team told me about it as well. And I thought, oh, well, there might be a few people doing it. Then I walked into another producer's office and she showed me a meme. And I'm very familiar with the way memes work. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
2 very big name Survivor contestants came on to recap episode of San Juan del Sur. 2 3-time players, to be precise, Jonathan Penner and Benjamin Coach Wade. And the illusion, the myth of Benjamin Coach Wade took a bit of a dent when Coach admitted a few things to us.
Well, I mean, get back to me on that as I quickly Google Hellenistic quotes, right? I mean, that's what I did all my seasons. I didn't go around quoting Nietzsche until the plane flight over when I was like writing down a Nietzsche book and wanting to sound smarter than I was. Ask Penner his question. I'm going to be Googling on my phone.
Go. You're ruining the illusion here, Coach. Come on. Well,
I don't know anything about the Hellenistic period.
Yeah.
Helen Reddy are they talking about?
Exit interviews once again continued in December with Alec Christie, who was eliminated towards the end of the season. We heard from Drew before. Let's hear from Alec Christie.
I want to go kill a buck with Keith and Wes for sure.
That would be fun. Of course, chicken nugget eating champion we learned from Wes, didn't we? So
the chicken nugget eating champion. You don't even mess with that, okay? 58 chicken nuggets in 5 minutes. It doesn't get better than that.
Absolute superstar. Keith will talk a little bit about that topic very, very shortly when you hear a snip from his exit interview. Reed Kelly's exit interview followed, and when it came to food and talking about food on Someone Del Sur, Reed Kelly was the man. We kind of paid attention that whenever you got a confessional, it seemed to be about food. So it was kind of like, oh, Reed's on screen.
I said that too. I was like, apparently I'm the only person who can describe chicken, because all of my confessionals were about food. I was like, I swear to God, I talked about other things to these people, So I have to laugh because, apparently I need to have a cooking show next because that's my bet.
Oztopsy that week. I'm not going to play a bit of The Princess Lost Her Nose. Let's play something a little bit different. Hear a bit of that right now.
It could be. I'd agree with you. Like, there's been sort of quite a lot of potential sort of winner quotes and moments, so I wouldn't really count it as sort of outshining anything else.
I think Missy had a few this episode, though, in terms of, like, I won't quit, I will...
I wish, at that point, Natalie went all, like, Norman Bates from Psycho and, like, tried to turn into Nadia and, like, started cutting off her hair and, like... I'm missing her. I'm going to become one with Nadia. Shaving her side head and thinking she is Nadia.
I loved the Natalie, like, I loved her reaction to winning. She's like, oh, Jeff, can I have a hug? And then I absolutely loved her at Tribal Council when she's like, oh, I'm so glad I've got bloody immunity.
She's fun.
Oh, like, she's gold as a character. Did my impersonations improve? Maybe. Spencer Bledsoe, Marty Piombo joined us for a Someone Del Sur recap. It was an international recap. I did it from Australia, Spencer from the US, and Marty from the UK. And Marty talked a little bit about his travels in getting to the UK.
And now I'm back in London and finally getting ready to go home after being on the road for about a week or so.
If Nayanka and Purple Kelly were on your business trip, would they quit?
They would have quit after touching down in Belfast, I think, like 30 minutes into it.
Oh, wow. Hello, Purple Kelly. And Nayanka.
Sorry, no offense to friends of the podcast.
Sorry. No. We'll ignore Purple Kelly and her relationship with this show. We'll let her open slather to joke. She'll take it as one. Hello, Purple Kelly, if she's listening, which, let's be honest, she's probably not. John Mish, exit interview happen next. Let's hear a bit of that now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I was so impressed with the way Jacqueline handled everything. I mean, even coming into the tribe swap, it was actually incredible because so often, they don't really show it too often, but when Jacqueline and I would pass, we kind of have this, like, 1 second little, like, 2-word thing that would go on when we were on different tribes to try to let each other know what's going on. And so many times she actually looked at me and she said, I don't know if I'm going to be here next time, because it was an all-guy alliance over there, kind of taking out the girls. And the fact that she made it to a tribe swap, and then the fact that she was so, she was more of the strategizer between the two of us. Is that a word, strategizer? I don't know if I make that up.
Well, we'll make that one up. But we'll make up a lot of things this month, apparently. Oztopsy continued. Joppy was on. He came on for a few of them towards the end. We love Joppy coming on our episodes, and let's hear a highlight of that now. Let's start with you, Joppy. Survivor Worlds Apart. Wankers, whingers versus workers. Your thoughts?
I'm eating chocolate.
Is it Lindt?
Maybe.
I've got Lindt chocolate in my cupboard, actually. Support Lindt. Everybody go out there, support and buy Lindt.
Norwegian chocolate is my Christmas present.
That, of course, was our last Oztopsy. I failed to mention that before. Oztopsies will return in 2015 for Worlds Apart and whatever Season 31 will be. Our exit interviews with the final 5 came right at the end of the month, right after Someone Del Sur, of course, finished. We're going to hear from the final 5. Now, let's start it off with Baylor Wilson. And what else would we talk to Baylor about except being in a sticky situation?
Oh my gosh. If my song went #1 anywhere, I would literally come visit the place and play a live show somehow. I would raise money and get there because that would be amazing. I wrote that song about a year ago, and I did not expect for people to like it as much as they do. It's so interesting. It's songwriters always say that the worst song to them is always sometimes the best song to other people. And it's all about just relating. And that song was I was kind of joking around, and I was like, let's write it, with some food analogies, and people relate to that.
Sticky situation. Got to sing along there. Come on now. Keith Nail joined us, and as you heard me tease a little bit before with Alex's interview, Keith talked about shooting to an extent, and a very entertaining exit interview. Let's hear from that now.
And shoot, it don't get no better than that. I'm not going to kill nothing now because I'm talking in the deer stand with you, but that's okay with me.
I was about to say, I don't think I've ever interviewed somebody who's about to kill an animal at the time I'm talking to them, but there's always a first here, Keith.
I like it, Ben. I like it.
Now, one thing
I hadn't killed nothing. I hadn't killed nothing. I probably won't now because I'm up here laughing like crazy.
Just preparing for Christmas lunch, I'm guessing. Are we going to be having some venison on the table on Christmas?
Exactly. That's what we're working on, Ben.
Fantastic exit interview. Listen to it. Let's listen also to third place from someone else, Sir Missy, and Missy's exit interview. Let's hear a little snip of that now. How is it? What was wrong with it? All recovered now from it all?
No, not quite. I'm still in rehab. I'm doing some physical therapy and some other avenues of healing because it was a level 3 sprain. It was not a break, but it certainly has been a pickle of a time to try to get it to heal. And the doctor said when I got back it would be a full 6 months of recovery before, it would be pretty much back to good, but even then I'd have to take it easy for a while. I was like, oh my gosh, it probably would have been better just to break it. At this point, because I love to run. That's my exercise of choice, and it's made it quite a challenge to get back into that.
Yes, I'm guessing kind of, the whole cheer aspect of your career has been put on hold for a little bit as well then.
Thank the Lord. I have an amazing staff in my cheerleading business that can help with all of that because I can't do as much as I could right now.
Runner-up at someone else, a big favourite of ours here in Survivor Oz, Jacqueline Schultz. Let's hear from the wonderful Jacqueline now. You are probably at this stage looking forward to going home to bed and sleeping for the weekend.
Oh my gosh, I am. It's been a crazy few days. I mean, I haven't been sleeping, and everybody, the whole cast went out last night and celebrated, and then we had all the interviews today, and we're in Vegas right now with my parents, so it's been fun. It's been crazy.
Yes, definitely. I mean, can you kind of get a few moments to yourself now to feel disappointed, proud? I mean, kind of what's the emotions after finishing second after last night?
Definitely proud. I mean, Natalie played a great game. There's no denying that. I was so happy that Reed voted for me, and I've heard mixed things like, Missy played a better game than Jacqueline. Missy should have been second, and I mean, Survivor is building relationships too, and Reed liked me. I mean, we're great friends, and he didn't like Missy. So, I mean, getting one more vote is huge. So I was really pumped about that.
Of course, with Jacqueline comes Natalie, the winner of Someone Else. So our exit interview with her happened next. Let's hear from the winner of Someone Else.
I think, and I also voted out Baylor because she was becoming really, really, almost like they had this cocky attitude about I deserve to go to the final 3, and even though Missy and her had kind of discussed in advance that it would be Missy going to the final 3 and not Baylor, and so she was just becoming a loose cannon, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this later if it becomes a sticky situation. Let's just get rid of her now.
I love the fact that people are using this so much. It's just kind of, I'm disappointed they didn't use it as a hashtag throughout the season, hashtag sticky situation.
I know. It would make, even today, I feel like they should have done it. The kind of Survivor, the live show was kind of a mess. I would have love to see sticky situation as a hashtag yesterday night.
Only a couple more episodes to close out the year, but 2 very big interviews with very big guests, including one that we're very proud of. This only happened a couple of weeks ago, of course, and something that we feel was quite a big get for any Survivor podcast. We did reunite 4 people from the 5th season of Thailand for the very first time in over a decade. Our very good friend on the show, Tanya Vance, 4th place Helen Glover, the runner-up Clay Jordan, and the king himself, the almighty Brian Heideck, and they joined us to recap the finale of San Juan del Sur, something that I don't think we'll be able to top for quite some time. Let's hear a snippet of that epic recap.
Well, thanks, man. It's a ball. I'll tell you what, it's fun to talk to all them knotheads I had to put up with on that island. I was kind of the daddy of the bunch and had to kind of guide them and feed them and all that kind of stuff. But we made it, and we're all friends, and one of these days we're going to get together again.
Yes, that.
Feed them? You didn't feed anybody. You ate all the food. You didn't feed anybody.
You ate it. Well, I was supposed to do. All you did was talk about cooking in a cookbook. Made everybody hungry.
I've never seen anybody your size eat so much in my life.
Well, I know this. You can snore louder than me.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, it's already started. This is great. If you haven't listened to it, download it. Even if maybe you weren't a fan of San Juan del Sur, I don't care about recapping. A lot is talked about San Juan del Sur, but of course a lot is talked about their seasons as well in our mini Thailand reunion. The final episode for 2014, that doesn't include this episode, was our Christmas episode, our annual live Christmas party. We had a bunch of Survivor contestants join us, Amazing Race Australia contestants join us, Big Brother Australia contestants join us, went for over 3 hours. It was a lot of fun. We always love bringing it to you, and always will love bringing it to you every single year. But let's hear a snippet of it now. You heard from Josh and Reed earlier. Let's hear from them again, because they joined us together and they sung us a Christmas carol live on the air. Let's hear from that now. Well, one would say sparks were flying that Valentine's Day.
Oh,
come on, that was an all right joke.
Well done.
Thank you guys, thank you. Now, one last one I will leave it on. A couple of the listeners here are shooting out some questions. It seems the most common question here is if you guys, we've got this from Linda, from Alex, who's on the line here, Alex. Matt, can you guys sing a duet for us?
Christmas carol. Well, first of all, we want to say hey to all the listeners. We love all of our listeners down under. So, hey, guys.
Yeah, hopefully one day we can come down and hang out.
We should do something holiday, something Christmas.
What, sing something Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to sing?
Pick something. Go.
What about the weather, maybe something like that?
Go.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Aww.
Merry Christmas.
Fantastic. Guys, brilliant. Josh and Reed was magnificent, and we hope to have them both on the show very soon for longer interviews. So, that was the last episode of 2014, but was it really? No, because I believe there was another episode that followed after the Christmas episode. That was, I think, the best of 2014. Let's hear a highlight or a snippet of that episode right now.
It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to this very special episode of Survivor Oz, Australia's #1 TV and film podcast. Something that I can say this year. Very, very excited. Very special episode indeed. The best of 2014. We did this last year. Best of 2013. At the time, was our longest ever episode. Went for 3 hours and 45 minutes. 3 hours and 49 minutes, actually, to be precise. Just to correct myself there. And wow, that was such a good episode. I wish I could go back and listen to it. Of course, you're listening to it right now. We did that joke last year. I still think it's funny. But that does, this time, bring us to the end of the best of 2014. We've got about half an hour quicker this year on the best of than we did last year, and we had more content this year, so go figure. Obviously our clips that we played for you this year were a little bit shorter than what we did last year. As I did last year though, a round of applause. If you've sat through this entire episode, then good job to you. This time last year, as you just heard in that clip, it was our longest ever episode. However, again, as you also heard me just say in that clip, we've had 2 episodes go past it, so maybe you're used to listening to episodes this long with Survivor Oz. And I can tell you, come 2015, you're going to be listening to some even longer episodes because we got something massive planned, huge, ginormous, and let's just say it's going to be longer than we actually anticipated. And collectively listening to them all might take you a day. Let's just tease you a little bit on that. And I don't think we'll play many clips from it in our best of 2015 because we'll be here for a week. But this is an opportunity right now, I guess. I can sit here and thank a lot of people for 2014. First of all, to every single guest who has appeared on this show, whether it was the first time or their 20,000th time. We always appreciate it. When we started this show by speaking to Gillian Larson, never imagined that I would have spoken to the amount of contestants that I have, and to sound all soppy, it's a dream. It really is, and I have a lot of fun doing it, and from the bottom of my heart, it really means a lot that people tune in and listen. Whether you love us, hate us, it's whatever, you're listening to us, and that's what matters. So it does mean a whole lot to me to be where we are right now, to be able to be doing this. So thank you to everyone who's appeared on the show, and of course the people who have listened. If this is your first time listening to Survivor Oz or your 1 millionth time listening to Survivor Oz, it again means a whole lot. So thank you very much, and we hope you do stay tuned into 2015. We know we're not perfect, and we don't try to be, but we think we put out something fairly entertaining. Well, at least we hope so. And we hope that you are entertained by it enough to keep coming back, or at least exploring some of our other episodes out there, because we do put a lot out there, and we obviously hope that you enjoy it in some capacity. It has been a massive pleasure working with a bunch of Ozlets that I get to work with on this show as well. A group of people that come every week, every episode, some more so than others, but from the ones who don't do a lot to the ones who do a heap, to have these people on board and helping, it means a lot. And I will thank these people individually because I think they do deserve that. To Alex, Alina, Andrew, Rossi, Bridget, Clayton, Clifton, Colin, Joppy, Ivan, James, Jared, Jimmy, Julian, Kate, Kristen, Lancy, Linda, Nick, Noah, Paul, and Troy. Thank you. We did have Ozlets leave us this year. I'm not going to go through them individually, but you know who you are. Thank you for all that you did before you did leave. I will single out one person, that is Jared Elliott, who was my 2IC before he left, and he's been a big loss to this show. We miss you, Jared, and we hope that you are doing very well. But you did do a lot for this show, and obviously I should thank you personally for everything that you did do. Sound like this is the last ever episode of Survivor Oz. It's not. It's just our 2014 farewell. And to everybody who's gone to our website, obviously we know a lot of people might not necessarily listen to these, but they like reading our content. Again, we're not perfect on our content and our website. We don't pretend to be. We put it out there as a product for you to enjoy and debate and talk about. It does cause a lot of debate and a lot of discussion, so it's doing its purpose. So we hope you continue to enjoy that into 2015. 2015 is going to be massive. As I said, we've got a big project planned. We also have some other things in the pipeline that, should things go right, we hope to bring that to you as well, so stay tuned for that. And as always, keep an eye out for many different things for you to get involved in terms of polls, voting, comments. We will open up the applications at some point, no doubt, in 2015 for more Ozlets. We generally do it once a year, so stay tuned for that if you do want to join Survivor Oz. We appreciate people contacting us, asking us how they can help out, but generally we're only opening it up at least once a year, so please do keep an eye out for that. But more interviews, hopefully. We'll continue on to our push to interview every single contestant, hoping exit interviews will be back for Worlds Apart. Oztopsies will continue. Weekly recaps will continue. Coverage of the Amazing Race, no doubt, will continue. If Big Brother Australia returns, that will no doubt continue. And some other things that are lined up too that we will be looking at in 2015. SurvivorOz.com. You can find every single episode, every single interview available on that site. Like us on Facebook. That is the easiest place to stay up to date with us. That and Twitter. Simply search for Survivor Oz on both services. You can find the links on SurvivorOz.com to take you directly there. You can communicate with us. We read every single message that we get. For the most part, we reply to every single message that we get. So we will, of course, stay in communication with you there as well. You can ask us anything. We will answer anything. For the most part, I won't tell you what size my undies are. But I will take one more opportunity to thank you all. Actually, no, I won't, because I haven't tagged even iTunes and all that sort of stuff. Subscribe to our podcast, folks. It's easy. You get the episodes direct to your computer, your portable device. How easy do you want it? That's as simple as you can get it. And, of course, you can leave us feedback on all the services, iTunes, Stitcher, all those ones as well. And we always appreciate reading your comments. And YouTube. I don't plug YouTube enough. Our episodes are going up on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, hello. Drop us a comment. Say you listen to us on YouTube. Say g'day. That simple. Now I'm going to close it out. This has been the best of 2014. Bring on 2015, I say. It's going to be a massive year, and we are looking forward to it. For the last time in 2014, my name is Ben. This has been Survivor Oz. The tribe has spoken, and we'll speak to you next year on the trains.